right, good evening, everyone, and welcome back from summer. I hope everyone has enjoyed or still enjoying, as the case might be. It's 6:01 p.m. and I will call the Regional School Committee meeting to order.
And I will call the Concord School Committee to order. Before we start, today is Onam, the Harvest Festival of Kerala, where I'm from. It celebrates a king whose reign is remembered for a simple thing. No one was greater, no one was lesser, no one went without. Not a bad standard for a school committee. Happy Onam to those who are celebrating.
Happy Onam.
Thanks, and thank you.
We have to roll call in, sorry.
Thank you, we do need, I
Sorry.
thought of it 5 minutes ago, but yes, let's roll call in. I think Andrew's first. You're on mute, Andrew. I could hear.
We heard him before,
We
he's still
did
on
hear
mute. He looks present.
He does look.
Andrew, can you get off mute? The connection's not great, I know. You don't have to stay on video if you don't want to.
He does.
Not on mute.
There
Can
you
hear
go.
me?
There you go.
Now we can, yes.
Okay, yeah, the connection's awful here. We are so remote. Project present for both.
Thank you, Andrew.
Present.
Maliazzi present for both.
Morano present.
Bishari present.
Watterson present.
Williams present.
All right, thank you for reminding me of that. Let's go ahead and go through our superintendent shares and MECO updates. Or do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Welcome back, everyone. It's been a busy summer, but not too busy, so we're glad for that. I did want to give you some highlights of work that's going on, and obviously that's the lead up to school opening and staff being back tomorrow. First, I want to talk on Thoreau a little bit. As good as the summer's been, there's been some glitches on some capital projects that we didn't have control over. So unfortunately, the fire wing is not back on track. We've had to replace the fire suppression system in the wing prior to the construction. Short version of a long story is that took time and will take time. So we worked collaboratively with the insurance company and have brought 2 modular classrooms out back. One is gonna be housing a second grade. The other is gonna be some flex space because every other inch is used in the school. We're also getting a tent for some outdoor options. And we're hoping, I don't know what timeline Bob's gonna tell me to say, we're hoping it's October sometime. Last week it sounded like it might roll into November, so we're gonna just have to stay fluid. I can't say enough about the teachers and their resilience. That was hard information to share with them this summer. And they're gonna do everything they always do, which is best for kids and make it work. So that's a stressor point at Thoreau for sure. On the other side of the campus is the second phase of the playground project. So the whole place is hopping. We're building out the nature space. That work started a couple weeks ago and will go into October. So really interesting is you've got like really positive facing work on one side and crisis work on the other. So then we're gonna have to, I'll just give you the next headline, we're gonna have to reevaluate some capital things that we thought we were gonna use money for now going to the fire system. So our Concord CPS capital plan is gonna have to reflect what didn't get done, the parking lot for one. So more to come on that, but that's where we are. The campus is so busy and full. I'm sure people are wondering what's happening, and that's the bottom line. Other capital to mention is the amenities building, and of all groups, I think this might be the one to be excited. We're about to get a building permit or apply for it. The construction vendor is signed on. We have an OPM in Van Miller, and we're really getting ready to break ground. So timeline, Bob, October
Well,
through September through,
through April.
Yeah.
For substantial completion. They'll start before October. Some of it's site work. And the physical, seeing something go up won't happen until a little bit later, not right away, but.
and Aaron Jonkis has already been involved, so the athletics is gonna happen around it, and just excited to finally see that moving. In terms of technology, I've been meeting along with Shelley and Angel. We've sort of taken this on. We've met twice now with a couple of parent leaders in Emily Line and Adrienne Principe. Some really great conversations to date, information sharing. We're also building out the structure that I know I mentioned very quickly in June. So we're gonna be running two parallel, complementary but parallel committees. One is gonna be the in-house staff faculty committee that we're calling instructional technology with Shelley. And that'll be curriculum and focused on classroom. And then there's gonna be a district technology committee, which will be multiple various stakeholders, including parent representatives. We'll need a couple of you. We've got the whole draft outlined and are trying to fine tune it. So we're gonna spend the next couple weeks fine tuning those descriptions of the committees. I think it's gonna hit the questions people have. We have a lot of information gathering to do first. And then look at where we are and what we are. We did survey teachers in June, really big response even in June. They agree with all the things that are, like, we all agree with everything that's being brought up for concerns. And a lot of it is happening at a classroom level, and I think now's the question of what we wanna do at a systemic level to mirror that effort. But we're all here to be balanced and not just put kids in screens or do so superficially, so. I wanna talk a little bit about vision of a graduate, cause I'm really excited. We're about to go into year 2 of that work. Last year was the design team gathering, as you know, feedback from all sorts of different groups, had their 3 evenings, got out to the K-8s, the pre-K-8. This year is really trying to make that come to be, take the skills that have been narrowed down to, and the competencies, and then really start to look at where we're gonna land with that. The mission I've been given is to make sure it's a formal pre-K-8 inclusion this year, so I will need representatives, CPS and Carlisle to sit in the design meetings and not just hear about it and bounce it around. So that's one of my first tasks of the school year. Brian Miller's the master organizer here. We've already got a list of all the dates. And I'm really excited about where this is going because I think it fits so perfectly into the strategic plan and what does instruction look like as we go into such a different time and place and what skills students are gonna need to be ready for jobs that, you know, I'm gonna say this, like, we don't even know what those jobs are. So obviously it's gotta be a fluid skill set and vision is a really great anchor to that process, so.
All right, quick clarification on
Sure.
that. So the CPS and Carlisle reps are looking for these community members, these teachers,
Probably, and I'm still fine tuning with the consultant, probably a parent and a teacher from a couple of different grade levels.
Can you just
Couple of
talk-
parents
Can you
maybe.
just talk about the design, because the design team was meeting all year, like what
Yes.
did that look like at the high
Yeah.
school level, maybe people,
Sure.
if you're involved in it, you know what it is, but maybe. people
Yeah,
don't
so
know what-
the high school based design team was multi-stakeholder, parents, students, administration, faculty. And really it was the think tank to brainstorm like what competencies are we trying to get to? And through a pretty robust and intensive process, the list starts like this and you write it down, then you categorize it and then you reprioritize. All through that, the members of the design team were getting feedback from the groups they represent. So students were bouncing things around with some student groups. Parents were doing a bit of that. Brian and Katie went to every elementary school and tapped faculty or students. So that was the ebb and flow back and forth. And then there were those 3 evenings with big groups of people, 50 some people, really trying to narrow down what those competencies were gonna be. So we left at a really great spot and that work is gonna pick right up from there. And it's gonna be a really great complement to all the strategic planning goals we have and a guide. Then the goal, the second part of the year is really how do you apply those? How do we be sure they're named and called out simultaneously, even in lessons, that we're not just teaching content, we're teaching these particular skill sets. And the through line then starts to really form on, of course, you don't develop these skills once you hit 9th grade, you've got to build them from young. So trying to really develop where those lessons and projects are that are gonna focus in on this particular set of skills. It's really exciting work, so. And then a mention, we are celebrating the very end of the middle school project, so more to come as we have one more meeting left that should have happened last week, but a little technology issue. We've celebrated a little offline socially, which has been great, so we're really finally putting the finishing signatures on the middle school. And then I'll just name, and I'm sure Mark's gonna do more of this, back to school. We're really excited to have everyone back. Teachers are all back tomorrow. We'll open together at the high school tomorrow morning, and then students are back on Monday. The energy's really been great so far the last couple weeks as everyone starts to make their way back, and we're really excited for another school year. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? Right, do you wanna go next?
I can go next. So, Laurie, you covered most of it. Just adding a couple of small things. CMS Solar work is continuing there. The school committee is waiting for the proposal from CMLP to assess, and as soon as we have that, we'll bring that in front of the committee to approve. Couple of events are coming up. The Select Board's Bias and Hate Incident Reporting Working Group is holding two forums. One is the League of Women Voters, a First Friday session on September 4th from 10 to 11:30, where the committee will present its recommendations. There's a follow-up on Tuesday, September 8th at 7 p.m. at the Townhouse. They're both fairly low-key, interactive. The intention is for the community to listen to the proposals and ask questions and weigh in and help kind of finalize that. The more voices, the better, obviously. Get a point?
Both of them have, the website's a little bit, it's hard to see, but both of them have Zoom accessibility. You can see the website, the access point from the town website page.
Perfect, thank you. On Wednesday, September 9th, from 6 to 7:30 at the CCH's auditorium, there is a meeting on MCI master plan and zoning updates. So I'm sure that's of interest to many folks in the community. Please show up. The school committee is working on setting up an initial meeting with FinCom. I've sent out a few option dates late yesterday. We'll try and get that done over the next couple of weeks before we really get into budget season. And I think that's about all I have for now.
Okay, yeah, just a few other follow-on things. Two things that I just wanted to flag from MASC, just to make sure it was on everyone's radar. In August, there was a session related to E-rates, which is the financial assistance from the federal government for internet connectivity, so offsetting that. I know Michael attended that one, but I wanted to flag it especially because just a reminder to all of us that we really need to be paying attention to what's happening at the federal level when it comes to education funding, because it does seem to be changeable at the moment. Also want to call out MASC on September 4th will have a training related to superintendent evaluations, and because we are in an evaluation year for Dr. Hunter, it's worth, it's probably worth as many people as possible, especially if you've never gone through a superintendent evaluation, in participating in that. Sandeep covered a lot of things, and as Dr. Hunter said, we do have the welcome back to teachers and staff tomorrow. I want to make sure everyone knows 8 a.m. at the high school. School committee is definitely welcome to attend, as we have in the past. Sandeep and I will make a few welcome back remarks. And then I just want to share things are going well in Carlisle with our interim superintendent. So yeah, it's been a very good start there, and Carlisle starts on Monday, just like Concord. Should you have any Metco updates?
Yes, Monday we had our welcome back METCO program at meeting at the Clark Center in Boston. I think we're getting off to a very positive start. Valente and Solange are doing, they really push like parent involvement, getting involved in like community things, so that was exciting. So that was on Monday. We have 2 new students, so thank you, Dr. Hunter, at the high school this year from METCO. And then I don't know if I brought this up last year, I went to Carlisle and spoke to the upcoming freshmen that will come to the high school. Just an overview of what the MECO program is, if they had any questions. And it was received, it was really nice. They did have some fun questions, so that was exciting. So hopefully we can
Yeah.
make that a normal thing going forward. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to our student update. Mark, do you wanna come up? Welcome back. How was
Hi,
your
Mark.
summer?
Welcome back.
Come on down.
How are you guys?
Greetings.
Great.
Good, how are you?
Did you have a good break?
I did. It's really nice.
I might have seen a preview of your senior picture before I got here. It's really great.
Did you? Aiden just posted it.
Aiden just posted
Yeah. He's telling me he's gonna post it. Do you wanna put up this?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I can re-email them to you.
I'm out of my habits. Yeah, could you, so it's at the top of my box, Mark? While we're doing this, we do have 2 other new student reps that couldn't come tonight, and I can tell Mark's gonna be a great mentor. So we're excited to meet them as we get into September.
So I'm super excited. One of them is Paloma is in my grade, so I know Paloma pretty well. And then Vincent is the year below, so he's gonna be a junior this year. So Vincent, I also have their names on the screen. Yeah, I talked to Paloma, so we met earlier today and she just wasn't able to make it. But I haven't heard from Vincent yet, but honestly, junior year and emailing over the summer, it's still summer, I don't blame him. So hopefully we'll hear from him soon. Yeah, whatever you get though.
There you go. I don't think it'll do the slideshow, but I'll make sure it's big enough you can see. How's that?
Sure. So I'm just gonna be mostly talking. We were gonna try and introduce ourselves today, but they weren't able to make it, so they'll be here for the next meeting. I can kind of talk about we have the orientation training tomorrow. I think it's around 37 students, and we just go in and we kind of walk through the entire day of what we're gonna do on actual orientation day, which is Friday. So this is my second year doing it, so it was kind of lax last year. I think we always like give a lot of time to like get through everything so that there's no hiccups, which last year there definitely wasn't like any hiccups, so it's kind of cool that we have the entire like day to walk the entire building to do that. So that's gonna be 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. tomorrow, and then the actual orientation is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday. And then we'll welcome back all the 9th graders. But we already had our MECO 9th graders who we got to meet. They're in the
Yeah.
top left corner up there. So we did have, are 2 of them new students? So
There are 2 ninth
I don't think
graders.
one of them was there, but I know one, he was coming from a Boston school and he was kind of easing it, and I could tell like at the beginning he wasn't really in the mood, but then he got into it. He got to talk to Mr. Michi and we got to start having some meaningful conversations. So that was super great. We kind of walked them through the building and their schedules and looked at their teachers and showed them where they would be. One of them was taking orchestra, so we went to the orchestra room. So that was super fun. And then, yeah, we've been handing out, student government's been handing out t-shirts and parking passes. Well, not parking passes, but students have been like stopping by at certain time slots of the day to just pick up their t-shirts, parking passes. Are junior passes going out? I haven't seen juniors. I've just been school's been
We
full of
don't know if we
students.
have any slots. There's a
Oh, I didn't
construction
know.
project down at BD. It's complicated this year, so we're not sure if we're gonna have any juniors.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's driving. So I've just been going to school and I've been seeing everyone already, which is super cool. People are back to sports. I know girls field hockey had a scrimmage today, so they were on the bus and they did that. Our freshman dance is this Friday, which is super fun. Yeah, and super soon. So we're trying to push out information if you guys can help us, student government. And we have a bunch of new exciting clubs coming this year. I'm working on a club with my friend Maddie Menken, and we're This girl messaged me on LinkedIn. She's from a high school in Mansfield, and she was telling me about her nonprofit. So it's basically focused on like youth and STEM and STEAM. And with she called it like threads, and there's different like thresholds of thing like focuses that each chapter could like adopt. So I think we're focusing probably more on inclusion was one of them. She had 6, I don't remember all of them, but that had to do with things like BIPOC and neurodivergent students. So we were hoping to work with Pathway. So we're gonna start emailing out for that. It's called Interwoven, so you can look out for that. We'll
What's
probably
it
put
called?
here.
Sorry,
Interwoven.
interwoven. I love that.
I know they have a chapter in, she started a chapter in Egypt. She has 2 in Egypt, 1 in Rhode Island, and then 1 in California, and then she has 1 in Mansfield. So hopefully we get all the approval and the advisors we need to get started soon. And then you guys probably remember, I'm the president of BSU, so Lexington Union, so we've been meeting over the summer and going over some things before the year starts.
Great.
Excellent, thank you.
Anything you're particularly looking forward to this year?
This year, I was really looking forward to my senior photos. I'm so happy I got to do that.
They look
So-
really good.
We did those on Plum Island, and Aiden
Oh,
Randy was
nice.
senior last year, took them, so that was really great. I got to do them with my friend. This year, I'm excited about this club. I want to see what we could do with working with students in Egypt. I had no idea until we met on Zoom and she was talking about like the different chapters, and I was like, this is crazy. So I'm really excited about this club.
Well, we'll be back to give an update on that, right?
Yes.
That's right.
Quick question
Enjoy your senior year.
between you and Dr. Hunter, you said there were new clubs that were coming online. Do you know what the census of the clubs are, the affinity groups that we have in school?
I haven't heard yet, so Mark might have more information.
Senate would have more
Yeah,
information.
so they have to go through a process. Usually that's when I hear is when they get up through the process a little bit more. So you probably hear it when it's percolating.
Yeah, so I was talking to Miss Maines, and I know there was a junior Charlotte, her name is Charlotte Santoro, and she's starting like a new science club. So you kind of just hear about the clubs and like do word of mouth before they go through the whole process where they talk to Miss Maines, and then they have to go through Senate, and then they go through Dr. Hunter.
If I wait for a follow-up with this, I'd like to know. That'd be great. Thank you.
All right, any other questions for Mark?
No, well, congratulations. Mark also got an award this summer.
Is it
Oh,
sad?
yeah.
Will you just tell the committee about that? Because he's very humble and I think that you would be interested to hear about it.
That was super interesting. So I did the bridge program and I found out about it through Metco. And I knew it was Jalen Brown's program, but I didn't realize that he was gonna be there like every day. So every day we just spent the day with Jalen Brown and we went over like, I'm trying to think, there was like different modules and like workshops, and we did something on, we went to Google and talked about AI and how it's useful and how it's also harmful. We looked at making music with AI and what the limits are and like things like that. But it was kind of cool. He would just walk around and then he would quiz you, and if you got it right, he had like $100. It was a thing where he would just hand out $100 every time.
Is this
So
before the trade or after the trade?
Yeah.
After it.
after.
I think
It was the day, the morning. I think actually he had got traded like the day before we started. So the room was kind of like iffy when you first walked in. Yeah. So, but
That's great.
yeah, that was great. And then I got to meet Dr. G. McGuire. Yes, he was one of the founders of Metco, which was really
Excellent, well, thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All right, we'll now move into public comments. Just as a reminder, our public comment period will be a period of 20 minutes. And this is a meeting in the public and not with the public, so the school committee will not be responding to any comments. If you're in the room and you'd like to speak, you can submit a blue form, which are sitting over there, and submit it over to me. If you are on Zoom, you can use the raise hand feature. When called to speak, please state your name and address before you speak, and we will go every other, starting with a comment in the room and then one on Zoom, with a limit of 3 minutes per person. I don't have any forms, and I don't think, we don't have any in the room at the moment. We do have. a
Just
couple things.
promoted Ellen Quackenbush.
Okay, are you gonna time? I can time. Alright, Ellen, if you wanna go ahead and come off mute and then just say your name and address.
So thank you so much.
There you go.
So, my talk is whatever happened to the vision of the graduate initiative? I participated in the March 2026 public workshop at the CCHS on the vision of the graduate. The process started almost a year ago in October 2025, and to my knowledge, there has been no summary or timeline for the completion of a report. This is a miss, in my view, because the school committees in this current, the current discussion is considering the superintendent and school committee's goals for the upcoming school year. Some of my learnings from the discussions with students and parents that attended that workshop have had solid implications for our students. Among the visions of the graduate 6 focus areas, 3 stood out for me. Number 1, creative problem solving. The CCH students who were in my group emphasized the importance of listening and learning from people with different experiences from their own, and importantly, that disagreed with them. I was impressed that these students talked about active listening, in which one listens to for understanding, not for the opportunity to jump up and persuade the other person that your argument or facts were correct. These were super smart and self-aware kids. Number 2, effective communications. My team was probably only parents. Themes including knowing your audience and turning the presentation to your perspective. That is, one size fits all arguments never work and can come across as both aggressive and tone deaf. But probably the most important was the third, academically prepared. This is so important for the elite communities like Concord. Singular focus on safe academic knowledge and mathematically GPA may get your kids into an elite school, but will not assure career success. NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang told Stanford University graduates that he wishes them ample doses of pain and suffering. Well, oh my gosh, why? Because
Ellen, that's
true
been 3
greatness.
minutes, so if you wanna wrap up.
I'm sorry. True greatness comes from character forged through hardship and not just intelligence. Let that sink in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. We don't have any forms still in the room, so if you wanna promote Kristen.
There she is.
Alright, Kristen, you should be good to come off mute.
How about now? Thanks. I'm Kristen Haggerty, Revolutionary Road. I'm a member of our district Special Education Parent Advisory Council, our CPAC. And although this group continues to discuss the issue of timeout rooms and seclusion, I'm speaking on my own behalf tonight. I imagine this committee will approve the policies on tonight's agenda with relatively little discussion about each. I'd like to request that a more in-depth discussion of timeout rooms and seclusion be on a future committee meeting. Seclusion is defined as the involuntary confinement of a student alone in a room or area with or without adult supervision, from which the student is not permitted to leave. Seclusion, as you know, is prohibited by DESE. It is harmful to the child. It is traumatizing. A child with no documented history of repeatedly causing serious self-injuries or injuries to other students or staff can be confined against their will if the staff responds to an isolated incident without being properly trained. When you are talking about a young child, 6, 7, 8 years old, that child's life will be changed forever. This can be devastating to a neurotypical child and debilitating to a neurodivergent child or a child with a disability. In your discussion, I hope that we hear how the school administration will provide more information to families on the sections of your policy, no medical contraindications, and behavioral or psychological justification. In those sections, it has before an emergency intervention of seclusion is used, a licensed mental health professional or licensed physician must confirm that seclusion is psychologically appropriate for this student. So questions for the school committee and administration to consider is, will the schools be asking parents and medical professionals to sign something ahead of the school year that indicates that there is a lack of psychological or medical contraindications if that child is locked in a room at school? Will that be asked of all families? How will families be informed of the harm that seclusion has on a child in order to make an informed decision before signing any document? And if a family does not agree to have their child secluded, or if a medical professional documents that seclusion would be harmful, what procedures are in place to ensure the child isn't secluded anyway because staff just reacted and didn't know what else to do? We'd love to hear how the district focused on preventing the need for seclusion in the first place, and how do we resolve conflicting information when the district reports that timeout rooms are not being used with the experiences of children who are being placed in timeout rooms. Lastly, I hope in a future more robust discussion about our children's mental health and well-being that will include a discussion about the removal of timeout rooms in all schools. A timeout room can easily be turned into a seclusion room by staff who may not know or understand the law or the ramifications on the child. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. All right, we will now move on to Emily Lyons.
I might just say that is a topic of interest for me as well, that Kristen just raised. Okay. Thanks, Brian.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sorry about that. Hi, folks, I'm Emily Lyons. I live at 63 Bruce Road, and I'm a parent and the founder of the Intentional Tech Coalition in Concord. This morning, as you may know, Meta agreed to pay up to $17 billion to settle claims from a coalition of 47 states' attorney generals, including Massachusetts, that it built Instagram and Facebook to be intentionally addictive to children and misled parents and the public about the harm. It's the largest state consumer protection settlement since the tobacco settlements of the 1990s. And it confirms what researchers and parents have been saying for years, which is that these products are engineered deliberately to maximize the time children spend on them. Similar design mechanics to those named in that case, such as points and streaks and leaderboards, are woven into many ed tech software platforms that students use for the purpose of learning. These engagement mechanics, borrowed directly from social media, are built to hold attention but don't necessarily build understanding. Generative AI is accelerating this process. The same tools that used to nudge a student back into an app with a badge can now hold a conversation and write alongside them, and that makes them better at capturing attention and more capable of doing a student's thinking for them. Many of these platforms are built or funded by the same handful of technology companies whose core business depends on maximizing attention and engagement. We know what their institutional priority is, and it isn't classroom learning. That distinction should factor directly into how the district evaluates and selects tools for our learners. And I'm sure that in many cases it already is. But what is lacking for me is a structure and some guardrails, documentation, and transparency around the process. And it's my observation that parent concern is growing as a result. Several parents and I spoke at meetings in the spring to propose a technology advisory committee, which would be a school committee subcommittee that gives this work a standing and a transparent home and lets parents, teachers, students, experts, and the district evaluate policy and procedure together. I'm genuinely encouraged to see in the agenda tonight that the district is moving toward its own district technology committee, and I'm supportive of that process. It's a real signal that this administration takes the issue seriously, and I want to build on that momentum and not compete with it. I would love the chance for this body, for the school committee body, to have a public conversation about the technology advisory committee proposal too, especially given how much parent support has gathered behind it. I believe that any technology committee, whatever structure that it takes, needs several things to do this work well. And here are my top three. Safety and efficacy defined and measured broadly and clearly, not just whether a platform complies with a consortium to clear a minimum data privacy benchmark, but whether it protects student focus and attention, mental health, well-being, and protects sleep and physical health.
Emily, let's 3 minutes if you can just wrap up.
Sure, I will. The second piece that's important is transparency and communication with the community throughout the process, backed by a report that includes ongoing oversight and accountability. And third, real inclusion and influence from for parent voices, and not just a seat at the table, but a genuine role in shaping the outcomes. I'm not asking to choose between structures tonight. I'm asking instead for the chance to have that conversation in public together. And I'm confident that whatever committee moves forward can carry these three elements. Thank you for the work that you're already doing on this and for hearing me tonight.
Great, thank you, Emily. All right, any other public comment? If anyone else on Zoom wants to make a comment, just raise your hand. All right, we've got one more.
Hi, 168 Cambridge Turnpike, AJ Tornatore. I have a question about the Zoom format. If you guys don't mind answering why we have the specific format that I have not seen in any other town meeting.
Can I just respond really quickly? We've had some serious Zoom bombing issues, and this has more ability for us to ensure that doesn't happen. That's the simple answer. If you want to shoot me an email, I'll give you any other details to go with it. It's a webinar format, which is a little different.
No, I understand, but it is very off-putting, and in no other town meeting, I've attended several of them. So, and I understand that there have been incidents, but does that mean you continue to stay in this format, or would it be possible to switch formats and sort of go the more closed route when it's necessary and stay open as a standard format?
I think it's something that the
Sort of,
chairs.
yeah, that's for the
discuss with
committee
you,
to
but
decide.
yeah. No, thank you for that feedback. All right, any other public comment? All right, that concludes public comment. We will now move on to the consent agenda, where we have 5 items, and I'm just looking, are all of, no, this is a mix of Concord and Concord Carlisle, so when we vote, we will have to vote accordingly. Is there anything that needs to be pulled out of the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, any final discussion? All right, because Andrew is remote, we will do a roll call.
Percheck, aye for both.
Kelleher, aye for region.
Maliassi, aye for both.
Morano, aye for both.
Bouchard, aye for both.
Watterson, aye for region.
Williams, aye for both.
All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you. One of these nights I will say Watterson for both, just because I keep hearing.
I know, it happens, it's okay.
Just to see who's paying
Yeah, so you're
attention.
still paying attention. All right, moving on to correspondence. All right,
So
I'll let you take the lead there.
yeah, we're piloting something a little different this year. So.
Oh, what's this?
All right, so, you know, we've in the past shared all of the emails that came in. I think this is, in my mind, hoping that it serves 2 purposes. One, it keeps us on our toes to see which ones we've responded to, which ones we haven't. And also, I think it gives, you know, a little bit more transparency to the into the communication that we're getting and how we're responding to it, so. The goal is every meeting will share what has come in since the last meeting. I did set the cutoff to the beginning of the school year or the fiscal year, so starting in July and then August, so we've received, how many did it say, about 10. We've responded to some, we've gotten a bunch, and again, it shows which ones came into Concord, which ones came into the region, what kind of topics they came in about, and how we've done responding to it. Not a whole lot to share other than what these subjects, subject lines for these emails are, but there are a bunch, there's what, 3 or 4 that came in the last couple of days that we haven't answered, so hopefully we'll get those answered by the time we present this in the next meeting, but this is our attempt at sharing more data with the community.
I love this.
Yes,
Great.
same. On the plane yesterday, I copied your spreadsheet from
Yeah,
last year
yeah.
and I shared it with Sandeep, but when I woke up this morning, he's like, well, I made some tweaks and
Yes.
this is what I saw.
So-
Feedback well.
No, it's really great. So I would keep a spreadsheet and it's in the drive. Anyone can look at it. And it would say, you know, what it was, who wrote it, and if it was responded. And sometimes Lori responds, sometimes the chairs respond. It depends on what was happening. So I love this because it's just super transparent.
That kind of detail is also here too, who's responded, right, so.
I love that.
Right,
Alright.
thank you for that.
Where is this located?
This is currently on my drive, but happy to make a version of this available for every meeting.
Which, I guess what I was thinking, the select board will post the letters. If there's a way, so they can be publicly seen, there's a way that the community can see these, what comes in as well.
So we haven't done that since I've been on the committee. We haven't put our correspondence on. I think every committee decides what they're gonna do. I think in
Just proposing
Carlisle
it
at
for
some
thought.
point. Yeah, totally.
What
I
we're
think-
discussing.
Does
We
Carlisle
don't-
post it or no?
No,
Okay.
similar, we just say what the
What it
topics
is,
are.
okay.
Some of the other groups in town will read them at their meetings, that correspondence out loud.
Oh, wow.
Like the Recreation Commission in Carlisle does that, but the school committee doesn't. We haven't done that.
If it makes sense, maybe a version of this can be in the packet that goes out and such, so.
Yeah.
I was, again, just suggesting a sense of transparency.
Sounds good, excellent. All right, gonna move on to our discussion items. And for our first meeting back, we've got a bit of a lengthy list with 8 different items. So we put approximate times. I'm gonna try to keep us to those because for some of these, they are just initial discussions and we'll want to continue on. The first thing that we will be talking about is the climate and culture working group. So that group the group met twice over the course of the summer. Sandeep, Michael, Michelle were all part of that. And what we were really looking at over the course of that conversation is, you know, what data and metrics do we already look at? Are there things that we want to add to that mix? What are what we are starting to call indicators, which are probably you know, less of the structured data and more of the updates and the dialogues and things that we're having. And you know, it was my opinion as we were going through this that I feel we've got a lot of the data points already, and we're actually a lot of these things, or many of these things, you know, such as YRBS and Panorama, we're talking about already. My takeaway from it personally is that what was lacking is, you know, we might talk about one thing in September with the region, maybe something else October with Concord. There's never an opportunity to pause, reflect, and have a conversation. So we're not voting on this tonight. This is to solicit feedback from the broader school committee, just to be clear. But the framework that we're starting to identify is 3 meetings a year, and these would be regional school committee meetings so that Carlisle can participate, where we're really focusing on some of this, you know, the data that we're already looking at, the well-being data, the indicators, the sort of anecdotal data. We're looking at it more holistically 3 times a year, and then we're having those conversations so that we're not talking about YRBS in one meeting and then talking about Panorama in another meeting. and really looking at it big picture. So what we have shared in the packet is just the data and metrics and indicators that we've thought of and sort of the timing of things. And I really want to open it up to our feedback from this group. What are we missing? What else do we need to be thinking about? And while there's not a lot of time between now and our next meeting, which is September 9th, I believe, I'd like to try to refine this and have a framework in place in September, because as you can see, that first conversation would be October or possibly November, depending on when some of this data is available. And part of our reason for putting the scheduling as October or November is, is the data actually available? And if we discover we have so much that we have to put into one meeting, it would be better to delay it till the next meeting so that we can have a proper conversation and not just buzzing through it or getting to it when people are, have been here for 3 hours. So I'm gonna stop there.
Can I ask a couple quick questions?
I was just gonna
Oh, yeah.
ask if Sandeep or Michael wanted to add on to anything that I perhaps missed.
I guess as you said, we have the data available, and we're structuring a more formal way of looking at it, but spell out for us your thoughts are in service of what? The intent that I had when we put this together, it was in service of raising awareness and potentially heading off problems that we haven't in the past. So this is putting together a structure of looking at the data points that we already have, formalizing when we'll look at it, but also time for us to look at this information and synthesize it to make recommendations going forward. That's the sense that I had from it. Yeah, I think, just that working group itself was, I feel, very productive. We, in a couple of meetings, right, we were able to, at least some of it was eye-opening for me about the work that's already being done, just having a chance to present it to the community, to the school district, to the school committee in one meeting, I think will, as Brian pointed out, let everyone take a step back and look at it holistically, and I think that's extremely valuable. So, obviously part of the working group, I'm looking forward to having that first meeting and then following up on the couple meetings after.
Yeah, and I think it'll be a learning process for all of us as we go through the year. But Drew, what were your questions?
Well, first off, I love what you guys have done, so thank you. This is awesome, and I'm very excited for these conversations. I think they'll be good. I'm curious, Brian, one question about the structure of the meeting when these 3 sessions happen. Is it sort of gonna be an agenda item in the course of an ordinary meeting? Is it going to be a workshop? Is it gonna be a forum where we invite public comment? I'm just curious, have you guys discussed the format of those sessions?
That's a good question. I guess in my mind, and I don't know if we formally discussed it, but it would be a discussion item within the agenda, just as we have other discussion items. One of the things when it comes to sort of the public side of it that we would like to see is, last year we had coffees, for example.
Yes.
What we didn't really capture or have a formal way of capturing is what were the key things that we're hearing from those.
Yes.
Because I can remember what we talked about in the Carlisle coffee. I can't remember what the other themes were that came out of the others.
Right.
But we need to have a way of capturing that so that we can look this year to last year. Is it the same themes or not? So I think that's where it's gonna be really, making sure that those types of things are memorialized. So just as we trend YRBS data, we can trend this as well.
Honestly, that was my second question, which is there is a lot of data here, the quantitative kind, but the qualitative stuff is the one piece, and the full picture is always the stories multiplied by the data. And I think but it's also very hard to not let the squeaky wheels get all the attention. So it is helpful to have the fulsome surveys, but there's gotta be something, like you said, that incorporates the voices of the community, folks that are willing to step up and share. I'm a wholehearted supporter of this, and hell yes, and how do we make it so and do it exceptionally well is maybe the next question on my mind.
Probably one of the other things that our group will be looking at is us getting the working group, getting some professional guidance on how we best mesh things together. And Brian has a list of professionals to look at that he's reached out to
Well,
inform.
having a facilitator, are you saying, Michael?
Well, that a professional testimony, professional information on how the working group should start looking at the issues.
I see.
So when we come back to you, we'll have that better fleshed out and better thought out. An additional point, you brought up as a facilitator for our group, because there have been instances over the past year where we haven't really worked as well together as we could have or should have, and to try and facilitate that. Those are things that we brought up during the meeting, and things that, Brian will be talking with people to look at.
Yeah, Michael gave me a couple names. I know Dr. Hunter has somebody else in mind, and yeah, both for what are, do we have blind spots still in terms of this framework? Are there things that we're missing?
Yeah.
And yes, as a group, and whether, I don't know how quickly we can have that within the year, but yeah, are there better ways for us to be having conversations when it comes to these topics?
I mean, we'll be opening a forum to have very hard conversations, it's worth noting. And conversations that maybe haven't been had for a while. And so there might be pent up tension. It might be wise to have help. I'm always one for help.
Yeah, so I've done some outreach. I've actually gotten responses back today, so I need to.
It's great to hear.
Thank you for doing that, Brian. Appreciate it.
I had a couple thoughts along the lines of Drew with the qualitative data. I think student voice is really important here.
Yes.
To really understand what the culture's like. I mean, Aisha and I have kind of a bird's eye view into high school. I don't anymore, but you have a feeling of what's happening in the high school when you're in the high school, and what's happening, whether you're on a soccer field or in the camp or whatever, you kind of,
Yes.
Get a good sense of what's happening. I did watch your meetings, because I love to watch meetings. And I loved what Andrew Numici said. Like he talked a lot about what we're doing in the schools that maybe the community's not aware of, and I think to get that out there. Because I do think that there is a lot happening in our schools. So I think about that as just, how are we communicating and really looking to the professionals that have eyes on this day to day, because we don't, we come here at night and we hear what's happening. We might hear from the community, but I do think we need to look to the district, because this is very much in the district's court
Bailiwick.
that we kind of oversee, and we can look at the data. I think the student voice is important. I think educator voice is important here. And so those are things that I think we have to figure out where they fit. And then my last point was just in terms of PD for us. When I first came on the committee, we did PD with Ideas, which is who does the training for the teachers. And I know that some of the teacher PD is done, who does that training, Lori?
We switched over. Shelley, what's the name of the
It's
vendor
not
doing
Ideas
the?
anymore.
It's equity and
We moved over to Equity Imperative for the teacher training.
So it might
Some
be
of it.
helpful for us to have the same training that our teachers are getting, so we're all working from common language and we all understand kind of what's happening, and the trainers have a little bit more insight into what's happening in the schools too. So those are just my general thoughts on this, but I think you guys got a really good start. And then my other just question is the working group continuing, or are we now bringing it to the school committee level?
So I think we still have a little bit more
Okay.
work to do, but once we, once the school committee votes to, essentially accept this framework, then at that point, I would expect the working group to be dissolved in
Okay.
favor of having the conversations with the whole school committee.
Okay, and will you incorporate, some of our feedback tonight into this framework? Will the committee do that?
Yes, and.
You don't have to do it live in the moment, but I'm saying,
I've
just
captured notes, and what I'm
yeah.
hesitating on is our next meeting is gonna come up, our next full meeting is coming up very quickly. And
Okay.
just can we
Yeah.
have a dialogue in
Yeah.
between? I'm sure we
Yeah.
can find
It's a
time.
week and a half, right? Or
Yeah.
2 weeks, so.
2 weeks with a public holiday thrown in,
That's
so.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Well, let me
I
give
think-
an amen and hallelujah for what Tracy just said, cause I'm all affirmative for it. I think the student voice is the most important voice. Far be it from us to tell them what's important. That's a surefire way to get them not to listen. Let's,
I
yeah.
think we have built in, we're talking about September, October at the latest.
Yep.
To have it. So I think we should take the time to try and do this as precisely as possible, to try and deliver a good product to the committee to move forward with.
And at the risk of volunteering Lynette for an extra Wednesday, like I'd rather we come to the second September meeting
Yes.
and have it right than rush between
Okay.
now and the night.
So I've been to a couple of meetings in Concord and Carlisle with the community, and some students came. So I do agree, hearing the student voice and what they're going through is so important, and communicating that, what we do find to the community, because like I've been saying for years, a lot of these, this culture starts at home. So I think it should be a conversation that's open to all of the community, so everyone's involved. But the student voice, I support that 100%, because I think that's where we'll get the biggest impact.
I know we did one of our school committee meetings in Boston. Is the intention of session 2, because I see it's Metco family mid-year check-in, to coincide with being,
I think that'd be
We'll
how
have to see how it
how the calendar
shakes
shakes
out.
out?
Yeah, for sure.
Wonderful to include some voices from families that would be difficult for them to come here.
Sure. Any other questions, feedback, anything? All right, well, thank you for this initial feedback, and we'll continue to refine and report back.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on now to superintendent goals.
I'm gonna do this at a 50,000-foot view, but ask questions on anything. I played with the format, as you can see. I thought I would just add the update column, so this is what you'll see on regular occasions during the year with green, red, yellow. I even built myself a drop down, I got a little carried away with the Excel spreadsheet, but so just highlighting, and remember, these are the goals for the year. It doesn't mean we're doing only this. There's a lot of other things going on too. This felt like the list to prioritize to share with you. And I did make everything measurable this year. I think we can talk on what it's measuring if you'd like, because that became a little more tricky than it might have seemed at different points, so. EL certainly at the K-5 level, in making sure the second cohort gets up and running. We're gonna need to monitor and support cohort 1. And you'll hear a lot more on that as the year goes on. Shelley and others will certainly continue to update you, but we will be 100% invested in EL at all classrooms by the end of the year. I guess you could say that's true now, because everyone will be using it, but feels a little different that everyone will have implemented. As school finishes, we have professional development plan for both groups. We have a lot of conversation on pacing to have. Year 1 is a big lift and hard to determine exactly. And I have stayed very close to all of that and will continue to. This year, for the first time that we know of ever in Concord, we're prioritizing 2 high quality instructional practices across all of the district. And I will be rolling those out tomorrow morning at the Welcome Back. So as a team, we had sort of made our way to these as last year went on. So I don't think people will be stunned that these are the ones we picked among the teachers. But really looking for shifting both cognitive load and collaboration within the classroom. It's a perfect fit to vision of a graduate. It's a bit of the how-to go with the skills and the vision of a graduate. And I think our hope is that will have common language across all of the schools, that we can talk across grades, across departments, across buildings, and really start to look for and support the same things, whatever setting it's happening in. UDL, Universal Design for Learning, is another strategy that we're really taking hold of this year. We have been working, you heard Darnisa's name, certainly last year and again already tonight. She really worked closely with the leadership team and the teacher leaders last year on, and this I'm gonna say as carefully as I can because it's a theme through all of this, really equity is really the perfect balance of social, emotional, and belonging and academic achievement. It's both. And one can't be without the other. One might set better conditions for the other, but it's both. And what we took away from our discussion with her is that one of our biggest goals right now, not to say we're not gonna do the honed in achievement gap closing in the way we have been, but we left our work with her that we're going to close achievement gaps by really making consistent things happen across every classroom in the core curriculum and the core instructional methods. Because I think the takeaway we had was if you don't have that, then the tier 2 intervention or tier 3 is based on you're not really sure. It's based on data, but it might not be coming off of the same foundation because instruction wasn't consistent. And I think we were really taken by her message of tier 1 core curriculum and instruction has to be resolved first. Then you can keep tweaking tiers 2 and 3. We've been kind of coming at it either simultaneously or the other way around. So Universal Design for Learning, she is going to be a piece of that, and now we're bringing in Novak Education, who will do the real nuts and bolts as we start to roll out what that really means. It's components of how you do different things for different kids, that's the short version. And everything's accessible to everyone, and there's different ways of showing your learning and demonstrating them, and there's different ways of accessing content and all these different levers that you can pull. We're gonna do that with all staff at a faculty meeting with Darnisa, laying the groundwork of what I just gave you in a 2-minute overview. And then Novak Education is gonna come in and really do nuts and bolts with our teacher leaders. That's another huge goal of ours, is to really build our teacher leaders up. It's a little more in place at the department level, but at K through 8, the positions are there, but they're not really focused on instruction yet, and we're trying to change that. So we're really excited about that work. That will be a precursor to UDL being a district-wide discussion next year, but we have to build the scaffolding.
So, question?
Sure.
As I was looking, I'm comparing your 25, 26 goals with these. So, Universal Design for Learning is taking up, like in last year, in your second block, the focus on the execution and achievement gap closure and the inclusionary practice. This is all part of your student learning goals last year. All of that's going to be combined in the UDL, part of the UDL program.
To a point, yes. And actually, we're moving forward that goal from last year to the next phase.
And how, spell out for me how those are going to be measured?
Right now, my goal is to make sure all schools and all teachers are getting exposure to UDL. We're in that very early stage of it. To actually measure outcomes, it's premature to do that because we're not quite far enough along that we're gonna be implementing it. It's certainly not implementing it consistently. It's still the driver on that path to closing gaps and high performance. That there's no question that's the end goal. What you're seeing in my goals this year is more of the scaffolding on the initiatives we're building to make that happen. So I'm hesitant to put an outcome goal there and say students will grow at a certain level when we're not even really implementing quite yet, if that makes sense.
A benchmark of where we're starting and where we'd like to get?
In terms of students, I think at this point, we know the benchmark is our current performance. The goal will be to close gaps so that all kids are performing at similar levels. That's been the goal for the last couple of years and will continue to be. I think the work this is doing is giving us the tools to make that happen. So the goal is still, let's close those gaps. That's absolutely the outcome we're looking for, is that all students will be performing at the same level.
Yeah, and it might be helpful to have Darnisa just do like a quick presentation to us kind of like what that looks like and what it's looking like within the district.
Yeah.
just so we're all,
Sure.
again, working from the same.
Yeah. If you're
Final,
interested.
final question.
Sure, yeah.
Over time, how do you tell that you succeeded?
Yeah, when those gaps are closed, right? I think that's a multi-year step and plan. Right now, I'm gonna measure that and say I successfully implemented exposure to Darnisa, Novak education, and the teacher leader training that we needed to do to go to the next level where teachers are gonna be ready to do that. So I think if in the fall, we're ready to roll with teachers starting to take on the training and the teacher leaders are ready to support them in that, I think that means we succeed. Yeah, great questions. I think there's nuance to all things. I wasn't gonna spend too much time on Vision of Graduate because I did talk about that in my update, but it certainly is a big piece of the work this year that I am excited to stay close to.
And just maybe like timing on that, so the timing is, will you finish up this year, will it continue?
So
'Cause it was
my
part of
understanding
accreditation too.
is we are gonna have both the competencies determined and application outlined by the end of the year.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
This is an unusual one under professional practice. I have never felt that there was so much coming out of the State House in Desi that I needed a goal about it, but that is the case right now. Pretty significant pacing happening there. And we'll talk on all these as the year goes on for sure. Graduation requirement changes, seclusion, medication delegation, both of which we're moving forward as school opens. The LEADS Act, this I think you will want more information on. This is from 2 years ago, 2024. Embedded in that were diversity requirements for all districts. Michael, you might have mentioned it at some point. It's been called multiple things. The Diversity Act got buried in the LEADS Act to get it passed in some political decision making. So it's been sitting there, and coming out of the legislature, we've all been waiting for DESI to build the requirements of it. We're hearing that's coming, we've read it enough to know what those are, and really it is a lot of what we're doing, but we need to vet it for any missing pieces. Leadership at the district level in DEI, goals and objectives in that, professional development, like the key components are now gonna be mandated, which I'm thrilled about. Not all districts are doing what we're doing, and certain, the levers are gonna help them move forward, so mandating that will be very beneficial. So a lot more to come on that. The Protect Act is on tonight's agenda, and we are under tiered under seems a little negative. We are being evaluated by the state in tiered focus monitoring for both special education, civil rights, and ELL this year. So Shelley runs 2 portions of that, and Angel runs the special ed. We've already done document submission, and they're reviewing that and giving us feedback. They will make their way to on-site visits later in the school year.
Is that just something that comes up
Every 6
periodically?
years.
6 years, okay.
So you will be definitely engaged on this. There will be policy work to come out of this. Already there has been. So much more to come. Collaborating and developing the 2 district budgets and 100% of the capital projects. I think we've touched on the highlights of that right this minute. We are working on some CPC things that I'll have to talk with Sandeep on for the Concord committee before the deadline. Might need to be tagged onto that September 9th, so you can all see the plans as they are coming together. Bargaining, this will directly involve all of you. 5 units is a big project this year. And what I tried to put where it's culture, it's finance, it overlaps a lot.
It does.
Even touches on instruction, evaluation, it really can touch everything. So naming that felt important. It's gonna be a lot of time. I'm also bargaining with the Case Collaborative because 5 wasn't enough. And then the district improvement goals, I felt important to name. 2 new principals is the biggest leadership turnover in my tenure, and very specifically at the building level. So Stephanie and Dan and I are all getting our routines together, and there's ongoing phone calls and emails, but we're gonna be more structured than that. Meeting with them at least weekly. We're already mentoring, and we'll do that more formally as things come along, support and entry planning. And then we will be running a permanent middle school search, starting probably in the middle of the year. I noted the technology work, which we've talked on, I think, already tonight, and Emily mentioned. And then this one, I think it's gonna very much overlap what you're planning to do and probably partner with the culture climate discussions. This one I did put a stretch goal in, and I think this is probably worth calling a stretch goal. I mean, we all want 100% of our students to feel they belong. And I did trying to aim for 5% growth. We're waiting on all these data pieces, so what's the new foundation we're building off of still needs to get to us. But this I felt, even if it's aspirational, felt important to name. I think the foundational work, unlike some of the academic pieces, is far enough along, I'm ready to start putting those trajectories on paper and hopefully, start to hit those targets. So, and I think you've mentioned some of the things that I outlined there. What I'm hoping is what I've seen, and this is my 10th year somehow, when my goals and your goals all synchronize really nicely, it becomes a really great synergy. So I think we're on track for some of that this year, which is great.
Questions?
I was looking at your district improvement goals back last year compared to this. There was a goal for communication.
Yeah.
Beyond but I'm not seeing it.
I did, great, thank you. I decided not to make a separate communication goal. It's ongoing work for sure. And we, I think, wanna talk on your communication, my communication. I just didn't write it as a separate goal, as a standalone. I feel like there's some structures working, and I'm always looking for new ways to reach people and to communicate, and will not stop doing that just because it's not written down there.
I just wanted to say, I think these two districts are exemplar, and you've assembled a phenomenal leadership team to help achieve all of these goals. I found myself wondering as I was reading them, a little bit of, they're, spread these to everyone, but what does exceptional execution look like? And I would offer that by setting an ambitious goal like you did with the culture measurement, you actually give your team the opportunity to make their incredibly strong work even more visible. And I think there could be a benefit to doing a little of that in other places in this presentation, such that we have the opportunity to observe how excellent this district truly runs. And I think I don't know if the plan is to approve this tonight, or we're gonna do turns of the crank. I'm not sure how this goes, but so I think it could be stronger. And the only other thing I would offer is increasing increments of 5% growth annually for the belonging. You can actually grow the overall number, but while equity gaps are exacerbated, so I might just put while closing or at least not exacerbating it.
Yeah, and maybe this is something we can keep talking through, because as I said, Darnisa left such an impression on us that the foundation work is inclusive of all students as a means to close gaps for the subgroups. So I intentionally was writing goals more on an aggregate level as a means to close gaps for the subgroups, rather than writing goals for the subgroups per se. We're happy to have that conversation, but that was intentional because of our work with Darnisa last year. Doesn't mean the goal isn't to close those gaps.
I appreciate the
Yeah.
transparency on that. Thanks, Laurie.
Drew, to answer your question, just in terms of, we're not voting on them tonight. MASC does recommend that we vote on goals, so
Relatively quickly.
The September meeting would be the time to do that.
Okay.
I can't remember
Yeah,
if
and we
voted last
typically,
year or not.
I'm not sure if we actually voted. I had an extensive conversation with Alicia on it. But typically our process is you see it at one meeting, the next meeting we vote on it. So we've all seen it, we've given some feedback, and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting. One thing I just wanted to mention with Lori's goals here, we are in a superintendent evaluation year, so when you see them, you see the strands that she's identified and the indicators. So we will use this to do her evaluation.
And we use the DESI.
We use the DESI rubric, but we don't evaluate on every single thing in the DESI rubric.
Right.
So typically we choose focus indicators. And in the past, Lori's identified our focus indicators.
Yeah, I purposely, and this is,
Yeah.
I think I'll have to be a discussion. I didn't
Yeah.
get all the way to exactly the indicator on this
That's
list. It was intentional, we can talk about why, but right, usually, cause it's 34 indicators, I'm doing all of it, so
But we
whatever
never
you
do
all
it-
choose
We
to-
never do it at this point
Correct,
in the
yeah.
year, right? So we'll see her goals, they come through the strategic plan, you know, everything's kind of working together. The goal is that the strategic plan, the DEIB plan, you know, Angel Charles's plan for special ed, our goals, like everything is working together. And we certainly have policy around our goals and the superintendent's goals.
Yes, yeah.
I wanna move us on, but
Can I make
final-
one quick comment? So,
Mhm.
Lori, I know you mentioned that last one is a stretch goal.
Yeah.
You wanna point out, you know, the rest of Irvine students every year, right? So it's not the same cohort of students
Yes.
that is increasing.
Yes.
So just.
Worth naming on
so
all of
like-
our data
Yep,
that when we
exactly.
compare, if we compare grade levels as a different cohort, so the variable changes, we obviously do it, but it can have an impact.
So it might go one way or the other without.
Yeah.
having- So just.
There's factors there that aren't gonna reflect us per se necessarily.
Andrew, sorry, I just realized you have your hand up.
No worries. I was just gonna say I'm really glad to see the bargaining on Lori's goals this year, Dr. Hunter's goals. And we may wanna, I saw you and Sandeep did draft goals for us, but we may wanna carry that over. The amount of time that's gonna go into that is enormous. So thank
Yeah, and I was, not to get ahead of ourselves, but yeah, is that a zone goal or does it fit within, is it a key outcome of the fiscal goal? Anything else?
I had a whole self-talk with a chicken and egg on that one. They're so intertwined.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Alright, any other final comments? Alright, let's move on then. The next thing we have are our school committee protocols. This is something that we review on an annual basis. They do go up on the website. I think last year's are still up there with everybody's names against them. We had talked last year about having anyone actually sign them and then put them up. That for one reason or another didn't happen. But what I've shared with everyone, I just cloned word for word last year's and put it as a draft for this year for 26-27. There's 15 items on the operating protocols, and we've got 10 minutes. Just you know, are there things that we need to have a conversation about before we vote on them in the next meeting and continue?
Are these the same ones as last year? It's
literally a clone.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I assumed.
Though I saw Sandeep just fixed a space, but
There was an extra space, what bothered.
otherwise it's just a clone.
Did you move to fix that space, Andy?
We haven't voted. We haven't made any motion, so.
Oh, and sorry, Grammarly's gonna highlight anything on there, cause that's loaded on my machine.
Did anybody have any comments or concerns or questions just looking through these?
I don't see anything that would change for this year.
I think they still all apply, so.
Scroll that.
Yeah, I think they definitely all still apply, and I just think that, you know, it always goes to the point like, okay, are we sticking to our protocols? And that's always a question that I go back and forth on. But I think we have the right protocols in place, which is helpful.
Mine is less on the what and the how. And you know, one of the big things is having like a high functioning committee. And someone told me, I forget who it was recently, that school committees can do like retreats together, not to talk policy or you know, vote on anything, but to, you know, build our working relationship. Has that sort of thing, you might know best, Tracy, when was the last time?
So we have definitely had workshops. We've had some that have been in this room, they haven't been
When did the trust falls
televised,
happen?
but it's an open meeting. It's an open meeting. So
Okay.
it's still, you know, it's not like we're gonna go away to the Cape and, you know, stay at an offsite
No.
and go have a
Some
retreat.
places.
Some places do that, you know, but again, you're not being transparent to the public if you're doing that.
I thought my understanding was that if you're just relationship building, not talking policy, you can have, but
I mean, it's all kind of interrelated, because that really goes to school like your school committee governance policies, so
Uh-huh.
it's all falls under school committee business, you know, even if we're talking about that.
Can I just maybe take that as an action item to
Yeah.
talk to Alicia about,
Yeah,
just
I think we
examples?
definitely should.
Yeah.
And I've talked to the other chairs too to see about what they do. Lexington does go on a retreat, but they've gotten some heat for that, so I think it's really
Yeah.
dependent
Yeah.
on
Cause it's
I mean,
not.
what people think
like,
you're doing.
What are you doing?
I-
Yeah.
Got
I
it.
was gonna say, the budget constrained environment, probably.
Exactly,
that too.
exactly.
I'll have you guys over for coffee at my house, right?
But even
But
something
we
like
have to
that, like,
post it,
is
right, if
that,
you're talking about
Post
school
it.
committee business, you have to post it.
Yeah.
So we've done it in this room, it's been a posted meeting,
Okay,
you know, and sometimes people come and sometimes they don't.
got it, okay.
Just, I meant to mention this earlier, that when I went to the training, the MACSC training, they had mentioned putting together like a MECO, like since more committees are taking MECO reps on, just so like, you know, like the instances where like, for instance, we don't acknowledge MECO reps in the room. You know, we do that every year, and like today was another instance where, you know, we did that again, so, I don't wanna have to remind people that I'm here, cause I drove an hour to come here. So like things like that, and I think you know, and the public sees that, so you know, we're trying to create an inclusive, welcoming community. I think, you know, we should start there. But just so if anyone reaches out to you guys, I know they said they might be reaching out since you guys have the MECO reps, to try to form like a
And
workshop
didn't we
around.
talk about, this is probably 2 years ago, we talked about maybe like, could we host something here with all the school committees that have MECO reps, or you had a friend that wanted to start one in her community, like, could we host something here, and could MASC do something with that, like, that might be helpful.
Make sure you're saying as simple as like when we do roll
Roll
call,
call, yeah.
you're like, I am here.
Yeah, and for
Yes.
the, since I've been on the committee, it's always, I always have to remind, yeah, to
Yeah,
become
so
visible. Uh-huh.
the observers acknowledged in the roll call sort of thing. Yeah, that's
Yes.
a great practice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have a couple of things to bring up for
Sure.
the protocol. Number 13.
Yep.
I think there's something missing in there, because when I was reading this, I know we voted on this last year. It is a debate that's conducted in the open, so I think that confidentiality part is pertaining to some student information or maybe what's
Yeah.
discussed in the executive session, so should probably edit that to reflect it. So just this portion where it says we'll maintain confidentiality might be about XYZ subjects.
Like student data and
Or things that maybe Lori shares with us, right? So it's, because the way I
executive
read it, it says our debates will be conducted with care and respect, will maintain confidentiality. If it's in the public, we're not.
yeah,
Yeah, I see what you're
where
saying.
appropriate or where necessary.
Yeah.
Applicable, or where it pertains to like student privacy, we had a lot of discussion about that last year, and so maybe you add that. You know,
is it something where it's just will maintain confidentiality when appropriate?
I think that's, I'm
Yeah.
fine with
when
that.
appropriate,
That would be
yeah.
fine.
Yeah, I don't think, yeah.
Oh, there was one thing that I had, I forgot about this, only because I read it in the bridge this summer. It didn't have anything to do with us, but it was another board that they had all given an opinion to the bridge reporter about something that was going to come ahead of them. So I think it's challenging. I mean, I'm totally great with the chairs, we'll just talk to the media, because I think that we could inadvertently, if they ask like, well, what did you think about this? What do you think about that? We could inadvertently violate open meeting law by giving our opinion. That was just, and I read an article over the summer. I won't say which board it was, but you can do your searching. And it was 4 out of 5 members commented on it, and I'm like, okay, that's a quorum of the committee, and it's gonna come before them at some point. So I think we just have to be careful about that.
Which,
I think that one was,
It's number
it's the media one.
14.
And we have it in there, it's just, I guess it's just a reminder that I thought we
That we
should
have
just
it in there and we
remind each
need
other
to-
of that,
Yeah.
The why behind the why.
yeah.
Let's see, did you have one more thing?
I have a few.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Number 5, the 4 annual SMART goals. The way it's written, even 0 is fine. It's up to 4 SMART goals, so I don't know what to achieve.
I think from last year, it was not wanting to overcommit ourselves, cause the year before, we had
Like 10
more
goals.
goals.
So- so this is setting the cap.
Yes,
Okay.
is it no more than 4?
It says up
I
to
should
4.
say 4.
It says up to 4
Up to 4.
on a.
We
Maybe
fine,
some
yeah,
school,
we-
could-
I'm fine
like a
with that. I
few,
was just
well,
pointing
a
out
future
that
school
we have
committee, they're
0.
gonna go through this process again, right? And somebody might say, oh, just, we want one on budget, one on policy, and one on superintendent evaluation, period.
Yeah,
And
that's
some school
fine.
committees do that, right, so.
Yeah.
Up to 4.
Up to 4.
to
I
4.
might just say up to, and again, I'll get into my little spiel about SMART goals. This came up in discussion a few times already, right? Metrics are great, it doesn't always measure what's important. So by committing ourselves to having 4 SMART goals, are we painting ourselves into a corner? It might be SMART goals where appropriate. But again, that doesn't have to be discussion for the protocols.
I'm just gonna look and see what our policy says, sorry. I think it might, I think policy BA does call it
Yes.
out.
All SMART goals?
I don't know, let me look. Sorry.
Mask, I know, recommends them.
Yeah.
When I charted the
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
You know, we can come up with all kinds of metrics that make it sound like we achieved a goal without having achieved anything. You pointed this out when discussing Lori's, stretch goal, right?
Yeah, well,
might
it
achieve
depends,
that
and sometimes
by-
the goal becomes, the
Right.
measure becomes the goal
Right.
when it's actually leading to something
Is
else.
that, is that really helping? I don't know. That's
I
my
mean,
concern with it.
it's art and science for sure, yeah.
And then,
So policy BA, it's the school committee operational goals. In accordance with these principles, the technique will involve periodically setting performance objectives for the school committee and evaluating their accomplishments, so those are our goals. Establishing practical and SMART district goals, so that's a little bit different, that's not a school committee SMART goal, it's a district goal, which falls under superintendent goals.
I think we should practice what we preach, and we
again,
should
it's,
walk the
it's not the
walk.
hill I'm gonna die on, but
Right.
Yeah.
again, I do have some issues with SMART goals.
I would agree with that, I think that sometimes you can have a goal, some things are not as measurable as others. They can still be your goal.
But yeah, I think that's about the list of concerns that I have.
Okay. Do we wanna change number 5, or are we comfortable leaving it, SMART goals?
I think we should leave it.
Okay.
I like it, but
I'm inclined to leave it as
I
well.
mean, nothing, it's not like on a stone tablet that says we gotta do it, I mean, we can still
That's
make.
kind of
Well,
what, we're agreeing to it.
Is it,
Well,
but is
but-
it, this is really
They're
like
not- yeah.
bylaw level stuff, or are these just recommended guidelines that we're signing for?
They're not recommend, they are guidelines.
Yeah, they're not
And,
rules.
it's us committing to our communities, what we will be doing as a school committee over the course of the year, so. We also are about to have our goals discussion, so we
Yeah.
may come back to number 5, but
We're about to,
yeah, just as a reminder, so this new version will go on the website, and I do think it would be good to have everybody officially sign off on, rather than just have our names at the bottom, sign off on them to show the sort of weight behind the protocols.
I like that. And we are gonna vote on this tonight.
Yeah, there's-
Is it voted on today?
Yeah, it's on the agenda as a vote.
this is a vote?
Oh, sorry, I was thinking we were
Because-
voting in the next meeting, but yeah.
I mean, it's
You
up to
could,
you,
yeah.
you could.
Good point.
Language that needs to be fixed on 7, but on the fly what it is.
On number 7,
Yeah,
school
it
committee
says-
member. Questions or requests for the chairs that's deemed necessary.
Probably by the superintendent.
By the superintendent, you're saying deemed necessary.
It
Through the
was
chairs.
through the
It's
chairs.
through the chairs.
And then we had added
struggled
last
over
year
that last
Yeah,
year
we did.
quite a bit.
as deemed necessary,
As deemed
also
necessary
through the
by the member.
superintendent, but it was
Oh, yeah, there's a miss.
chairs was the priority.
I still think it's important to go through the chairs with all data requests or anything else, because then we can have 9 people going to the superintendent with everybody's gonna, oh, I have a question on
Yeah.
technology, oh, I have a question on climate, oh, I have this question on whatever,
Right.
and then the chairs can kind of put it together,
That's
and when they meet with Lori, talk to Lori about it. So I still feel strongly about that one.
So should we go to just the chairs?
I would prefer just the chairs,
That's
and then you
reversing
guys
what
can
we
decide.
Did last year, and the purpose for that case in point, if we were requested, for instance, to respond on an item that the office hasn't sent, but it did not come directly from Laurie, if it came from Bob or Francis, why should I write to Dr. Hunter when I can say, we were requested to review this, but it wasn't in the packet?
Just not talking about going to Bob, that's talking about going through the
Through
chair.
the
Just through the chair, yeah.
But again, if it did not originate from you, either, but it originated, it adds another step that I would send something to you and then you would send something to them. I just had to answer the issue.
Yeah, I need to be the funnel to the
Right.
administrators.
I think the thing though is if you go to Bob and Lynette goes to Bob and Drew goes to
Understood.
Bob.
But we shouldn't be going to Bob
Understood.
for anything.
That-
We
that's
should be,
right.
go-
Yeah,
I'm,
that's good.
It
I
should
don't
all
go
be
to Bob for
coming through
anything.
me.
I go to Lori, Lori
That
goes
I
to
do
Bob,
feel strongly about.
right? I mean, that's the way we've always operated.
Not last year.
Do you went
Bob's
to Bob?
nice to you all and responds on
Not-
occasion,
not-
but it is supposed to
that
come
was
through
not
me.
protocol.
But it was
It
supposed to
is.
go to the chairs and as deemed necessary the superintendent, but not
Yeah.
not to put Bob on the spot.
Not to
But
the
we
assistant.
weren't going to Bob on this, like, so we removed that piece.
Just, I need to know what you're asking.
Yeah, we should
my-
not,
You know,
any of us be
about
talking directly to
the
each
work
other.
we're doing.
Or even both, that, like it could be the chair and the superintendent at the same time.
Right.
Just so
Yeah.
everybody knows, the chairs know what's happening and your question gets answered, right? Isn't that the goal?
I think so.
So this
I
all
thought
started
we-
because.
Well,
That was
we-
a word.
We put this down last year, that the analogy of if there are issues that we need to take up with Dr. Hunter. One of us, if something comes up that we can do that, you can be CC'd, but it should not always have to come through you if there's an issue. And
that's fine.
and we don't, I think we're all cognizant of the fact we don't want to overburden the superintendent.
Yeah.
And I guess we agreed to this last year. It was our protocol last year. I'm not certain why we're going to erase it this year, because did it not work?
Well, so it has to be the superintendent and the chairs on an email. I don't know why we just got in this Bob discussion, cause Bob doesn't
Yeah.
apply to this, so let's take Bob out. That doesn't apply to this, so I think,
So is it
no,
just,
I think it's you go to the superintendent and the chairs.
I think that's fine.
so we just need to add an as deemed necessary through the superintendent, right? We just have to put.
Yeah.
Through.
I think that's fine.
Are we overanalyzing it maybe?
I think
Possibly
so.
that's
I
very
think we're all
cool.
kind of saying the same
We
thing.
need to add one word, that's it.
Yes.
Okay, alright, maybe
Can I
just
ask a practical question? So
Yeah.
this is like my ignorance. I get the warrant things to sign
Mhm.
and like sometimes I have questions and by sometimes like every time. And I email Bob and then now I email Laurie and Bob. But do I also need to email Laurie and Bob and Brian and, or no, just Sandeep
CC.
because, okay.
Yeah.
It just helps us all know what's
Right.
going on.
Totally.
and-
I wasn't sure if that was open meeting,
No, cause we're not part of open
but
meeting
if,
law.
but he is, but it's just
If it's
one
just one
person.
of us.
questions, just
Yeah.
one.
But
And
it's
if you
totally fine.
email both of them at the same time, that's
That's
not
not quorum.
a
It's still not a
violation of
quorum.
open meeting law,
Right.
cause you're not a quorum.
Great, that's,
But when I was the chair, I was a Concord member, that would be a quorum.
got it, okay,
So you can do it with the regional
year's-
chair when you're a Carlisle resident.
got it.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I know.
Having sharing.
And sometimes the questions are so valid, we wanna be sure the rest of the committee gets the
Yeah, that's what
information. So
sometimes-
it's just really a communication flow.
Okay, okay, that's helpful.
Totally.
Did Andrew have anything? No. Okay, so thank you for, are we good to vote on this tonight? It sounds like the changes were very minor.
Yeah, it's 2 words.
And I highlighted them in red, so through the superintendent and will maintain confidentiality.
I move to vote on that tonight.
Make a mo-
I move to vote, motion to vote now, yeah.
You have a second?
Can we just alter your motion a little bit?
Sure.
As amended, so
As amended, yeah, with these 2-3 word
do you wanna say
changes.
the whole thing again, just
Yeah,
for
I
minutes?
move to vote on this as amended. The what is it called? The Concord and Concord Carlisle School Committee Operating Protocols 26 and 27. As amended.
Seconded.
Andrew seconded, alright, and any final discussion? Alright, roll call.
For check aye.
Kelleher, aye. for region. Thank you.
Maliazzi, do I have to say for both?
Yes.
For both, yes.
Morano, I for both.
Bishardi, aye for both.
Waterson, aye for region.
Williams, no for both.
So that was no. Okay. Thank you. Continuing on then to the goals.
Michael, can I ask you why you voted no? Is that okay?
Sure, of course.
Is
That's good.
that, or it's already closed, I can't
So
remember.
we did close,
If you talk about Robert's rules of text with the will of the committee, so once the vote is taken,
Yeah,
it's closed and the will of the committee moves forward.
I'll ask you later, Michael.
Sidebar.
I don't know, I mean, you can, or you could look it up if you want to, you guys
Public-
decide.
You need to take out your Robert's rules.
It's your call.
Yeah,
It's your
sorry.
call.
We'll move on.
I think we've made the vote, we've got a lot of
Find
business
out
to
later.
carry on, so I would say sidebar on that one.
Okay.
Alright, where are the goals, and where I can share this document if you
Okay.
prefer.
If I would find it quickly.
Here. So, just in terms of working through, the goal of 4 goals, Sandeep and I spent some time, over the summer, thinking about the broader topics, that we felt made sense for goals. We took an initial pass at the goal language, up for debate by all means. This was just an initial draft. And then what we wanted to get some input on, we don't need to wordsmith everything perfectly tonight, but what would be the key results? I say key results, I've operated for years in the sort of objective key result framework when it comes to goals. Very similar to Lori's, where it's, you know, what is the goal and how are you gonna measure it? So, you know, basically want feedback in terms of what those would be. And then we are not voting on these tonight. We're gonna, you know, continue to iterate with the goal of voting in September. So let me share my screen.
Hey Brian, can I ask you just a very basic question on this document? Cause on the previous one, you had just copied over last year's, but this one looks whole cloth new and it was very different from last year's. I'm curious why we're working from this and not the baseline of the previous year's goals.
So it's interesting you say that, because in Carlisle earlier today, we had a meeting to do our goals, and it turned like 90%, I would say, Lynette, of our, not the goals so much, but like the things we're gonna focus on.
Yeah.
Did copy over,
Yeah.
essentially. I would say what we're seeing here is the high level is similar in that last year we had a budget goal. We still have a budget goal. Last year we had a superintendent goal, and we have the goals in the evaluation here. Because we are focusing on the climate and culture framework, Sandeep and I thought it was important to add that in this year. And then, you know, the curriculum and instruction and technology piece, you know, that is also, you know, a big theme that we've been hearing about. So I definitely think it's worth comparing to last year's. I also think some of the key results under last year's, especially when it comes to budget, when it comes to evaluation, it is probably almost a copy paste. But there was also just the, you know, give us a little bit of a blank canvas, or not completely blank canvas, but
Got it.
Starting point.
a new starting point. If you look at the year before, I mean.
Yeah, you sent me the year before,
Like,
which was helpful.
I'm sorry, if you look at 2 years
Oh,
before.
2 years before.
I mean, completely different how we wrote them up and tracked them and things like that.
And you probably have goals from like 5 or 6 years in the drive you can look at, and they all look very different. It depends on the process we use, it depends on what the chairs determine is gonna, you know, what they give us to look at. Like I looked at the select board goals and I was at their meetings and they all draft their own kind of list of things, which is very different than what we typically do.
Interesting.
stop sharing for a second. I will also, I just wanna pull up in case we need them while we're going through last year's
goals. Yeah, cause I was in the audience when y'all reviewed them last, but it feels like we didn't even like put a bow on it, you know? Yeah, the last time you reviewed them was, I believe, in March.
I thought that was pretty well, I'd say, it was
the end of the year.
Yeah, we did an end of year.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Was that your thumbs down?
That was, I think I did, I
Somebody
don't know,
did
I
a
was
thumbs
going
down.
like this, leaning with my thumb, and or maybe Lynette did it. I would, that was not
I don't
intended to,
think- no,
don't
it
put that
comes
in the
up
minutes.
sometimes.
That
It might
wasn't
be
it?
an audience member, it comes out sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did do it in June.
Yeah.
We did do it in June?
Yeah.
We did a final,
Final.
Maybe that was the one meeting I missed. Maybe, I was in DC.
So, just in terms of budget, ensure transparent, collaborative, and fiscally responsible budgeting for the Concord School District and Concord Carlisle Regional School District that protects the quality of programs and services, reflects community priorities, and earns public support. Any just initial feedback on that language?
Well, it's essentially the same as bullet one. It's, I assume we're going to put more flesh on the.
Yeah, we're gonna add
That's what
key
the key
results.
results would be. So, you know, for example, one thing would be
Come within
presenting a budget that gets passed in both town meetings, for example.
or
This is
come
where-
within X% of guidance from FinCom.
We don't know what
We
that
don't.
is, right?
What if the guidance is 0%?
Zero budget, $0 from the school.
What if,
We
Yeah,
don't know what
just-
the income budget.
Right, but we can say like, we're gonna come within X% of whatever they come as a budget.
well, I think it's
don't
tricky
wanna-
because
yeah.
we do zero-based budgeting, right? So when they start the budgeting, it's based upon what we need. We start with nothing and they add up. So what if we had, you know, for example, like some high need of something that we actually need to deliver the services? And when you're saying you're coming within 1% of the FinCom guideline, that wouldn't take that, we wouldn't meet the goal.
Fair. Well, we would not meet the goal, but we had plenty of goals last year we didn't meet, for the record. But you're right, I hear you. You don't wanna sign yourself up for something that you're not confident you can.
I think we should pull up maybe go back and watch that June meeting to look
Yeah.
at the goals, cause I actually think that we met. I think we met all
Yeah,
of
I'm
them.
looking at the,
For budget, we definitely did.
for
So
budget, yeah, but there are a
we
bunch
had-
of like red ones.
We had budget workshop for new members.
Yeah.
Collaborate with the FinComs in both towns
Yeah.
to reach
Yeah.
a mutually agreed upon budget guideline.
Yeah,
I
the
think
budget.
I think that's better than demanding that we fit. I think that's better.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, do we wanna take these two from last year and bring them over?
I like those, the
Bullet
one
three,
thing
bullet-
the
bullet
one
two
thing
and
I,
three- 2 and 3 are good.
yeah,
And we're not doing one because true.
No, we need to do one.
I would, I think there
but
would
I
be a
actually
budget.
think, I do think that Drew should do the
Yeah,
workshop
I think
with
we
Bob.
should.
I would love that.
So
Yeah.
we're not gonna
Oh,
call
yeah,
it
we
a
already
goal, but
put
Yeah.
that.
I got it,
Please
I'm
do
on
it.
it, guys. Carry that one to the finish line myself, with Bob's help.
I know I need to fix all these dates, I'll do that at a later time.
But we're not gonna vote on this anyway.
No,
The
we're
one thing
just-
I would add in there too is, I mean, we have so much bargaining this
Yep.
year, that has to be part of our
I
objectives. Or key results. And I do think the goal should be to bargain with all those units by the end of this fiscal year.
Successfully bargain.
Yes,
Yeah,
Is that, I just wanted to make, you didn't say successfully.
that's the goal.
I would actually change the first bullet to I think we would all
yeah, make that
benefit
number
from
one.
well, I'm going back to just the bullet as it stands, to make a budget workshop for anyone that wants to attend. But make it early in the,
Great.
Yeah, we had that on the radar.
Yeah, actually, cause we did a full committee workshop as well.
Yeah. There is some, yeah, we did a budget workshop, it can be geared in different ways. I didn't know if there was something about just an introductory meeting with new members. that
Yeah,
was talked about
definitely
over the
Drew was
summer.
on our radar, so we could open it up and then if it's too many of you, we just have to post it.
Yeah, if it ends up being one or two, and then I don't have to post a meeting, it'd be more, you know, I can give you some information and answer questions.
Got it,
But
otherwise
if it's a
a
bigger
public-
meeting, we post it.
we had one, and Thanks for
Yeah.
the meeting that was posted as part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
This is a
I'm fine
workshop.
with
Found the
whatever.
timing.
Okay,
So
But be
I would-
prepared for remedial questions.
I do have slide decks I can, just give you to start if you want to review.
Oh yeah, I can, I'm just a good self-study.
I'll state my case on the bargaining cues for the successful bargain. Just like I said with the FinCom, I think that we're letting our success be tied to somebody else.
so is it
Yeah.
complete bargaining, is that what you?
I mean, yes, I'd love for us to have contracts, but it's a negotiation with
Yeah.
others.
I see what you're saying.
But it could still be a goal.
It
It
can
could
be
still be a goal
and
to
your
have a
point
successfully
earlier,
negotiated contract.
Yeah,
maybe we don't meet it,
But it might be beyond our control.
that's right,
Yeah.
that's my point.
yeah.
So, I guess in my mind, it's a little different in that we don't know what the guideline is versus like we are,
And at this point, I'd say we don't know what the ask is, right?
well, that's
So-
true,
True.
but we still wanna.
That's very
complete
true,
it.
Sandeep.
I mean, if you had Unit B for CTA in your goals last year, you wouldn't have attained that one.
That's right.
Yep. I'm wondering if 3 years ago there was something related to bargaining that.
And to my point
I don't
earlier,
believe
now
there
now
was.
what we're
Okay.
doing
I'll
is
look, I'll look.
we're finding goals that
That's
we know we
right.
can meet, which is not great either.
Right.
No,
Right.
Well,
it's
too much.
It's too much bargaining not to have it as one of our goals, like that's
I-
gonna be
I-
a
I-
major well, it can go under budget, but it's gonna be a major responsibility that we have this year.
Yeah.
So separate goal potentially. I'm just gonna make a note,
Our fourth SMART goal.
yeah,
Fifth, oh, we got five. Oh, we do have
Well,
four.
wouldn't
yeah,
it-
sorry.
But it does have to do with budget, I wouldn't put it as a
I would leave
standalone,
it.
it does have to do with the budget,
I think
I'm
we should
just-
the first one, but
Yeah.
I think
it's way more, yeah.
there's a good point, it is more than budget.
I'll withdraw what I said, I think having it as a
success.
Successful.
success is fine,
Shoot for the stars.
we
There
don't
we go.
need it, we don't.
Yeah, we're gonna work
We're
very
gonna
But we'll
Yes.
discuss why
Yes.
we're not meeting it anyway,
Yeah.
in full transparency,
That's
right?
Right.
That's fair, yeah.
Yep.
good call.
As long as we
And-
can
Yeah.
discuss it.
And hopefully this sends a signal to the units that this is something we wanna get done.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
It is important to
Yes.
us. Superintendent goal and evaluation, routinely monitor progress of superintendent's goals and conduct evidence-based evaluation of the superintendent aligned with DESI standards and the district's strategic priorities. Just in terms of last,
Isn't that something we're gonna do anyway? I was wondering why that was like, I mean, yes, isn't it like obvious that that's our whole, like we do three things as a committee and like to evaluate the superintendent's
We
one.
can say the same thing with budget.
We have
For
to do
sure,
the
that's
budget
fair,
as well.
okay, well, yeah, maybe it's what are the key results under which
I
we're gonna
asked the
evaluate
same
the
question in
superintendent.
Carlisle when I was new, like, this is, I
Have to do this,
again
yeah.
think of companies where like, that can't be your goal, that's your job. Like, but it is
Okay,
so
well, maybe the
important
devil's
that
in the
it needs
details.
the-
Yeah.
I think it just, are we on track? Because there's also a lot leading up to it, like we have
Yeah.
to, there is a
In
lot
my
leading up
time,
to it.
it can become a scramble. I think making it a goal might help you pace it a little bit, cause you'll keep coming back to it and it won't wait till the last minute.
And what I don't want to happen, so obviously, we have two members that have terms that are coming up. So it gets really awkward when you're evaluating the superintendent, you're
Oh,
no
yeah,
longer in the school
lose
committee,
people.
and then you come to a meeting and you're talking about the superintendent, so it really should be done. I mean, the goal would be to really have it done before that happens. So April would be the goal, I mean, honestly, it should be done by April.
Before you turn over the committee.
Yes.
before-
Because the new members will not participate in it.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
then you sit as a new member and you're not participating in the discussion, but yet everybody's voting on it and you've got people, you're then a member of the public presenting it.
Should we put in here evaluation of the superintendent by April 2027?
I would like.
yeah, that's a great,
Good SMART goal.
And then I just, if I can spell April, I copied over what we had last year, just so we can look at it.
Yeah, as it stands, number two doesn't have achievement goals or equity related goals, and it, we had that, this was put in bullet 4 last year. So bullet 2 now doesn't have those equity related academic subgroup performance or gap closing.
You said we had that last year and it,
It's it's the last bullet.
It's bullet 3 now.
Equity related data as it becomes available, including subgroup performance and climate surveys.
But we have the climate and culture, would that
Yeah, I guess
go under
that
that,
should fit
that
for
new
that.
one?
That was under superintendent evaluation. And it's already, we already discussed that was part of the UDL, so that's the UDL and the other group, so. In fact, there's, as it stands without that, there's nothing to talk about academic performance in that, other than, meeting the, things will be aligned with SE standards. So,
Are you suggesting an update to the third bullet there, or?
I think he's
well,
saying
I
it
think
needs to be
the third bullet needs to, something
Carry
from
over.
the third bullet needs to carry over into the superintendent goals and evaluation.
just to be clear,
That's what's on the screen, I'm confused.
Yeah, I think he's putting
I
it,
just
I
wanna
think
make
put it
sure-
up there, yeah. I
so
think
Michael,
it's-
you're saying something related to
The
student
last-
yeah, I
achievement,
think
equity
the
related
last-
data.
Yeah, it's the last bullet that we had from,
Do you want that worked into the goal itself or as a,
Into Lori's goals.
I would like, I would like it,
superintendent evaluation, student outcomes, the number 4 was our last year.
yeah,
Okay, and that's comparable to number 2.
Yep.
Issue.
I do think it would be worth, Michael, do you mind if I elaborate? Or,
Sure.
sorry, just continue your
But just
thought.
look, without it there, bullet number 2 doesn't have anything talking about academic performance, closing gaps, or equity.
We're talking about the main bullet, not the sub-bullets.
Oh,
I think, yeah, I
I
think
like, no,
both and.
if we just do the main number 2.
Yeah.
We need to have that bullet underneath.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's, he put it in there, but I think I think what I would argue is, with attention paid to achievement gaps, year-over-year changes to achievement gaps or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, because it is worth, I mean, Laura, you said it's baked into the plan is to close achievement gaps with tier 1 support. Let's look at what the achievement gaps are. And
I think
we're not gonna close, look,
Yeah, we're not
the
gonna
achievement
close
gaps
number 9.
will never be closed.
right, but I think we
But
have
what
to,
progress can we make by looking at them?
yes,
Or look at them to see that we're making progress.
Actually, in fact, can I amend my statement? The achievement gaps can be closed.
Yes.
It's not likely they'll be closed this year.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that, Cindy. Thank you.
But that third sub-bullet, I think, captures that,
Subgroup performance.
including subgroup performance.
Yeah.
Monitor student achievement, equity-related data, including subgroup performance.
Okay.
Is that, if that's what that, yeah, that,
Yeah,
if we are all in the agreement that subgroup performance is academic achievement, then great.
the only thing I'm gonna say is, so without the superintendent rubric in front of us, with Lori having picked her focus indicators that we're gonna evaluate her on. Yeah, I mean, likely it will,
I mean, we need to have I did not pick indicators this
Right.
year, so
So
I
I
think
just-
we should, we can chat on that.
yeah, so that's the only thing I just wanna caution us on, is getting too ahead of it before the indicators have been chosen. Cause that is the process that we go through.
when do we normally choose the indicators?
I have in the past picked them by myself with the goals and
Okay.
just gotten that specific. I can map that and give you something to give me feedback on when I bring the goals back. Maybe that's the way to go, and
Is that
then
also
it's,
the next
then you
meeting?
can all, yeah, I could bring it to the next meeting
Yeah.
against my
Is that
goals.
something we can
Thank
work
you.
together on picking the indicator?
I think,
Lori chooses the indicators.
but we approve them ultimately, right?
We do.
The goals, and the indicators?
So has anyone seen the superintendent's rubric yet? The DESI one?
Yeah.
You have, I
Yeah,
think you
yeah,
guys have.
yeah.
So it just depends on which ones that she's choosing.
Which lane she's picking.
Yes, which lane she's picking and what we're gonna write, we're gonna do the narrative on it and we're gonna do
Yeah,
the
and that's,
scoring on
and
it.
that's the scaffold, and we have to just contextualize it for the town of Concord, or Carlisle, the 2 districts, right? Like,
Well, it's worth being clear, I'm responsible for
She's
all of that
responsible for it,
rubric.
Right, right.
There's no debating that.
Right.
It's just a matter of what you're gonna report out on.
But to
But you
clarify-
can evaluate me on all of it, that's fine. For your sakes,
It's
we
extensive.
pick priority
Yeah.
ones because you
Yeah.
trying to report out on all 35 or whatever
Yeah,
it
it'd
is,
be
is
arduous.
gonna bog you down as well, right? So.
And I do think because Lori's on a 2-year evaluation cycle, it's important for everyone to, when you're making your comments, to really like spend some time on the evaluation and give some like extensive feedback. You know, and sometimes, you know, in the past, like sometimes some people write books of things. Some people don't make any comment, and I'm sure the same thing happens in Carlisle, right? Everybody does it a little bit differently, because you do it on your own, and then we put them all together, so she's a total package evaluation.
Yes.
But I want to clarify, we don't get to vote on the indicators. You bring the indicators to us, we get to evaluate you on those indicators.
That's what we've done, and if they're
Yes.
aligned with my goals, I think
It should all.
should all come
It should all come together.
Why don't we try to look at the indicators?
Yeah, I'll do some work to give, so we can all have that conversation at the next meeting.
And I would recommend everyone goes to the MASC Learning Lunch.
Already
Registered for it.
Yep.
Wait.
And then we do need something just completed evaluation by April with,
Mhm.
I think with input from all members and reps.
I mean, I've watched committees struggle because you don't all meet the deadline that you need to meet to give the person to aggregate. So I don't know how in the weeds you wanna get with each other, but it can get really messy at the end if it's not scaffolded the right way.
We'll get
In
it.
Carlisle, the equivalent of Erin just gives us our deadlines, like. she
Well,
will-
there's always been
No.
a deadline from someone on the school committee.
So
Yeah.
typically, just in the past, and I would recommend doing this because this is the job of the school committee,
Yeah.
not the job of Erin. It is the biggest thing, most important thing that we do. It's budget, superintendent evaluation, policy. So we should be doing it, so one member
Okay.
or 2 members become a team and they compile everything together and they put everyone's words together and you figure out where it lies on the indicators. So everyone does their own, it's all publicly available and all of that, and then you combine it into one package, but a member of the committee will be giving the committee deadlines.
Okay,
Cause I think that it's not Erin's duty.
no, that's
To
fine,
do
so
that,
I'll
it's
just
our
put the,
duty.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've made a note that we need a timetable.
Mhm.
It's just nice to have a deadline. I think we can move on from this one for now.
Great.
So the next one, curriculum instruction and technology, collaborate with district leadership to ensure instructional practices, curriculum reviews, student achievement, and the use of technology in classrooms are current, inclusive, responsive to emerging student and community needs, and supported by policy. There's a lot in this one, I realize. So I guess first, any feedback on the language of it?
No.
Well, I guess I'm curious, curriculum and instruction is not in our policy. So why, I'm sort of surprised the school committee doesn't.
It is
decide
in
on
terms of budget, so like, so if we adopted EL's the greatest example of it. We adopted EL, we approved the budget that does the purchasing of the curriculum.
We approved the budget, but
The
her
decision.
staff,
Yes,
her staff did the decision making, they looked at that, they vetted them and brought it to us, we approved the budget.
and we approved the
But-
curriculum.
We approve the curriculum specifically as well. Oh, interesting. And so,
Well, I mean, it is,
The
I'll
purchase-
go back to our policy, we'll see
Yeah,
what
but
it
that
says,
policy
but
is tricky to
it's tricky.
decipher.
We're not in charge of the curriculum, we don't participate in that, I mean, that's operational.
But that's
I think that's what
the point I was
Michael's
making.
getting
That's the point I was making.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
is it
think
an
up to the- we
overreach?
don't have
Is it
control.
is it the way it's worded suggests we're reaching farther than we ought to?
I guess,
I think
With
there's,
curriculum and technology.
Yeah.
I
Possibly.
mean, there's participation in making sure the school committee has representation on the technology committee that
Committee.
gets spun up, like that would be one thing. I mean, I
But-
do
but
think
that's
it's,
to support policy.
yeah, I mean, I do also think it's important for us to hear about what is,
Academics.
academics and, I think of Carlisle, we get spotlights in terms of third grade just implemented this new curriculum and, you get 5 or 10 minutes and
Mm-hmm.
it helps make it real.
Yeah.
What's happening in the classrooms, so.
I guess,
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
I guess I'd see that more under policy. That this might be a bullet under policy.
But we don't
Looking at
really have-
technology.
I would not be opposed to having a
Policy goal,
main
yeah.
main goal,
Yeah,
Okay.
with this as a part of it. And Lori pointed out, that's one of your goals too this year, right? It's a bunch of policy changes that you need to keep abreast. Maybe it does need to
Yeah.
be.
because we obviously wanna talk about curriculum and achievement and academics and all of those things, but we don't have the purview into it, but we do have the purview into the policy.
Under
Cause
policy.
even the superintendent adopts it, they design it, and they just report to us, and that's our adoption of it. That is how the policy reads.
This would be, but I could see this being a bullet under policy oversight and innovation.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
technology piece.
I just pulled up last year's,
Policy oversight and innovation.
do we wanna just copy this?
From last year?
I mean, that's,
I don't see anything wrong with that.
it's not
Mhm.
wrong. And then there would be a sub-bullet around technology and a sub-bullet around culture and climate, or is that separate? Or just technology is technology is such a major issue in town.
We do need to call that out.
And yeah, the I mean, look, we've heard from so many parents already in my brief tenure. I would add that there is something meta about climate and culture and the curricula or in this new policy bullet that is conspicuously absent from when you compare last year's to this year's, which is the communication and community engagement. I wonder if there's a way to work in, we talked about wanting the qualitative student voice and voice of the community as part of the culture and climate. Perhaps there's something that we can work in.
I agree with you, I see that fitting under what last year's communication and community engagement.
Just so it's not
Yeah.
lost entirely.
Yeah, I agree with that word.
Just to take one at a time now,
Sorry.
so.
Yeah, I'm jumping.
Yeah, sorry, I'm muddling.
So if we think to change this to
To
policy.
something similar to what it was last year.
Yeah.
And then policy, that what you have there is good.
But I
That's-
actually, sorry, I'm gonna interrupt you for a second. Technology, there's a huge focus on math and social studies this year. They're all 3 separate curriculum areas. I think we could have universal design be in there, so I don't know that it should just be technology called out because it is another curricular area.
So my view on that is I don't think calling out technology says we're not focusing on the others.
Yeah.
This is it's been a topic that goes a bit under the scanner right now.
Mhm.
So it perhaps, it's just pointing out that we are, maybe when we evaluate it once every 3 months, lets us know this is still important, this is still something we need to do. So it's, in that spirit, something to make sure we're still focused on it rather than,
Mhm.
it just being
Yep, okay.
part of everything else.
So I think if you have the policy, yeah. If the main bullet is similar to last year, policy oversight
Yes,
and maybe technology goal. And ensure, the district policies are current, inclusive, responsive. The first one is probably around establishing and effectively running the technology group that Laurie has been discussing with Emily and Adrian. Seems like a fantastic goal with active involvement from our committee. and regular reporting back and forth. Seems like a great bullet. And then we can also have a bullet around the UDL, the second bullet around ensuring inclusive, responsive.
It doesn't, we don't have to stop at one.
Yeah, no, we don't have to stop at one, yeah. No, not at all. The
And-
only question I would have is, but do we wanna set a date by which we would have the technology committee formed or established or running? I don't know.
That's in process though, right? And
It's
that's
in
like, as teachers are getting back to school, like literally like now is the time that it's gonna
Yeah,
start moving along, so. I mean, I think they're gonna hit the ground running when they get back, and
but
I
have
would,
it done by December 15th. I don't know what the
Maybe I'll ask is where do you think that should be at the end of the year?
End of the
End of the
calendar
school
either the
year.
calendar year or the school year. I mean, the school year it should be. I mean, it's probably, I don't know how long you imagine it running, Lori. Is it a 1-year engagement or is it a ongoing group?
I think this first year has a certain set of tasks and then
Then it
we'd
would
have to decide.
I think.
It might be one of those that's a couple of times a year to just keep the communication flowing. I'm not sure.
Although it is, technology is certainly not stopping
It's
and
not static.
not likely even
It's
slowing.
not static,
No,
it's not
no.
slowing, so I mean, I think that however this body is formed, it needs to be mindful of the fact that technology
course.
is not static and will continue
Yeah,
to
of
change. And I needs to
Well,
be on that.
And this is a different discussion, but we are never not talking about technology.
Right,
It's
right.
ubiquitous to all of the curriculum and instructional work we're doing. So we're gonna have to navigate
Yeah, maybe
I
I'll
think
the
that-
plan on
ask
that.
a more pointed question. So just for this goal, if we were to set up a district technology, company that we're already working on, is it reasonable to say that be in place and active?
By
Say had a
Christmas.
couple of meetings by.
Oh, we're planning to be up and running in October.
Right, so
There you
let's
go.
so
do
just
that.
leave it at that, why don't you just say a
Is that enough?
technology committee,
I think that's good.
what's it gonna be called?
District Technology.
The district technology committee will be up and running by October 15th.
Give them a little
Let's
longer.
get, just do one
Little-
thing.
little version.
Even I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Let's say end of the year.
Yes, but I,
Whole month.
and I do think, in the interest of time, cause I'm trying to
Yeah,
keep Brian on track here, cause he did a great little, let's keep us on time.
But this is
This is important stuff.
This is important, but I think that even if you and Sandeep wanna
We
wordsmith this
can
a
work,
little bit,
oh yeah,
and then bring us something back for the next meeting, like, I do think we can vote, if we're in agreement on
close.
Yeah.
what it has here, and they go back and kind of
nope, I'm
And
make
then
it pretty.
I guess the only, should we talk about that last one, which
We
is
should, so am I hearing from the group that this would be a key result under a broader?
no, I think we can leave it because
The reason, cause I was thinking, like, if I look at last year, amplify and promote district-wide communication, I feel like we did and continue to do a good job there, I don't know that we need to call it out.
I don't think.
I think baking it into the things we're doing is
I do think,
we should be mindful of.
yeah, the two-way communication is important, and I also think that, as we were talking about in the framework, two-way communication is going to be important in order to achieve this, so I
Yes.
do feel that there's
Yes,
I do think
It's gotta
that
be
it
in there.
aligns.
yeah, and I think with the broader community as well as the student body, as Tracy mentioned.
I think that gets tricky. I don't think the school committee is necessarily supposed to be that closely engaged with the student body unless.
No, that's
Yeah.
true. It should be us and then we share with.
But the student voice can come through, like Andrew Niamichi said at your meeting, like, he brings the student voice in, he brings the
Or
information.
not have
from the
students
community.
actually speak.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody
as long as
just
we're hearing
speak
student
for them.
voice, yeah.
Yeah, I would want, well, I trust all of you, but school committee members.
Sorry, I misunderstood when I thought you were saying have students share their,
No, student
provide
voice.
input on the culture and climate, but someone else
They do to
is
some
speaking
extent
for them.
when they come and
Yeah, we
different
bring them
groups,
so
the
much.
different groups
It's
come
not-
in and
it's
present
through
to
you.
us.
Yes,
and
it is
here.
through me.
It's not with, we're not engaging with students.
We're not engaging the students, but
Got it.
they're, in our, we discuss mechanisms to try and
Yes.
get
Yes,
the information. That does not identify or focus directly on the student, but
Perfect, have
that's
student
the
Yeah, that's well
leaders
said.
the information that
representing.
we need to have
I agree
filled,
with
and that we just need to decide how to do that.
Okay. I just,
I still see that item number 4 as a bullet under,
Policy, Michael?
communication, community engagement with stakeholders.
Oh, you think bringing that back Yeah, as a pillar?
This is a prime bullet under that poll pillar. I see that. And in service of that, I see the two-way communication as being necessary to be successful. So we need to be keeping in mind. So
That is a very well written goal from last year. Strengthen two-way communication with stakeholders and deepen collaboration with town leadership, specifically addressing acts of hate and anti-Semitism in our communities and in promoting equity, inclusion, and belonging.
And so
You guys
that-
must have spent a lot of time on that.
it speaks to what the climate and culture group is working toward. It also highlights the importance of us being able to communicate with our community.
Yeah.
Not just the school community, but the community at large.
I think it'd be easy to communicate with, to get the sense from the community, cause there's so many different groups that focusing on the same goal for the school year, so I think that from in the community, so I think that would be an easy, easy thing, as far as the communication goes.
I might offer a different viewpoint. I think the climate and culture goal as written is probably more relevant this year. Because the two-way communication, again, not to say we don't have to do it, it is a core job of the school committee, is more external focused. I think the climate and culture is more internal focused into how the schools and the district is operating. And I think that's where we kind of felt a gap last year, and we stood at the working group and we're addressing this. So I think calling it out as a main goal and seeing it through this year as a main goal is important.
If memory serves, that was the one bullet that we did not achieve last year. Strengthening two-way communication with our community.
I think it had the most
Red.
red.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now.
Achieve, so I think that's something that everything else, if we don't succeed with that, the internally, because part of what we're talking about is not only canvassing our affinity groups, but also our faith groups and community affinity groups. If we're not having adequate communication, we're not going to be able to succeed with that. So again, I see that strengthening two-way communication as pretty much key. And under climate and culture, deepen relationship with our other municipal partners. Everything that we laid out under bullet 2 with the climate and culture.
There is a sense that the climate and culture is a little on an island, like very school specific, which is our mandate. And the question is there a sense of building a bridge to the rest of the town and the other leaders necessary and essential? Is that's the crux of what you're saying, right?
Sorry, what do you mean by that word?
Well, I mean, if you look at just the climate and culture one, adopt and implement a framework for the climate and culture working group to strengthen the school committee's routine monitoring of the school climate through the school year. And the other one is very much so about stakeholders townwide.
Internal versus external.
Internal and external. And I think, is there a sense of, is there a way to square the circle and to figure out the middle ground between what I think what you're saying
And none of
you're
this is
both
to say
very
we don't do
validly
it, I think
pointing
we
out.
do it both. It's just what are we highlighting as a goal?
What are we highlighting?
That's all this discussion is about. We will hopefully adopt the climate and culture framework. We will hopefully strengthen
Yeah.
two-way communication. So doing one doesn't mean we don't do the other.
No, and I think
So
the question
it's
is,
just-
can we have it written in a way that scratches at a little both? Yeah. I think you guys have what you need
I
to
think I was
turn
gonna
of the
say,
crank.
let us take
Ask
this feedback
Claude and
away.
ChatGPT what they think and
I also think to help the conversation, I'm going to reorder these to a.
Yeah.
Now that we're kinda aligning with last year even more, just so that if budget was one, budget's one, just to help
Yeah,
with the conversation.
totally.
We'll work through these, I'll send a draft out. I think the best way to work through this is if I send a draft out, if there's any individual feedback,
Come
send
to
it
you,
to the two of
to
us,
the two of you.
and then again, a goal of voting in September.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I think we made a lot of great progress.
This is very great feedback, thank you, everybody.
Thanks for the work.
Okay, Bob, gonna turn it over you now for 5 minutes on student activity accounts.
Okay. I shared a memo with you. This is just for the region at this time. We'll present the CPS at a different meeting. The background for this is there's guidelines from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Ed that we present student activity accounts on a yearly basis. Primarily it's clubs and groups at the high school. We also use it for field trips where we gather funds and disperse them through a student activity account. The purpose of this is to present a listing of what our student activity accounts are for the year. And we show you the amounts, and then in addition, we have a lot of old accounts, and I've reviewed some of them last year. We did a lot more research this year. I had our accountant go back 5 years and look at how often they've been used. We also worked with the high school to find out if the clubs were still active, and they had an advisor, and we found two things. We found there's some very old field trip funds that we can close out, and similar to last year, we're recommending that we transfer those to a field trip scholarship fund. You might know that we have the Sharon Young Scholarship Fund, but there's not necessarily revenue pouring into that, so these other accounts could be used to supplement that and provide more opportunities for students for scholarships. And then some of these we're closing out, we're covering some small deficits. You'll see there's 2 accounts with deficits that we're not closing out because they're recouping those deficits, so we don't need to spend money to recoup it. We're anticipating that in a year they'll be back positive, so we don't want to expend money on something we don't need to. So I wasn't necessarily gonna go through it all. I wanted to just make sure you had it in advance and could look at it, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I will tell you, I don't know exactly what all of these clubs are, but you know, that we've worked with the high school. We have a little bit more information ourselves on which ones are active. So the ones we're talking about closing here, none of those have been active recently, and none of them have advisors. So what I'm requesting tonight is that the school committee approve the list of accounts, and then in addition that it approve the transfers that we're recommending here.
Great, thanks, Bob. Does anyone have any initial questions?
The 3 clubs highlighted in red, you said they're going to be refunded.
Let me scroll to the negative ones, yeah.
Negative ones.
So
That I'm leaving open.
yeah, the PSAT, SAT, and AP, those were larger deficits at the beginning of the year, and we're not, like, for example, the proctor fees they're not paid out of a stipend account instead of here, so we're now generating some funds that are eating away at this, and it'll end up at 0.
Okay. And Spectrum?
The other one, the Spectrum, I did recommend, it's a slight transfer of $68. I did recommend we cover that. You know, they're typically fundraising for themselves. I believe this is a special ed club.
No,
It's an
LGBTQ. Yeah.
Okay. And it was a small variance, and I thought, I didn't know if they were doing any fundraising. High school wasn't aware at the time. We thought we would just make the transfer to cover that deficit.
Okay.
There is one that's not going to scholarships, which is there's 2. One's a de-stress club, which felt like it should go to Feel Good Fridays, similar purpose. And then we also have money going to a student experience account, just $5,000 of it, and that can cover things that might not normally be things that we should be covering from the budget or from district funds. It could be like if there's a homework club and they did a great job, they wanna get a pizza for the kids. It's, you know, a little bit of morale related items.
Great.
Does someone wanna make a motion?
I will. I would like to make a motion to authorize the use of the Concord Carlisle High School student activity accounts as listed on the following pages for fiscal year 2027, and to approve the transfers recommended by administration on those pages. We also authorize administration to pay FY 27 student activity audit fees for CCHS from the interest income student activity account.
Second.
Did you just pull that off your head, Tracy?
That was St. Bob's
It's
memo.
on the
Oh.
memo.
It's on the memo.
It's like, whoa.
She's very impressive. Just, you know, imagine if I could.
Any final discussion?
You need a second.
And Michael
wait,
seconded.
wait,
Oh,
wait,
wait,
second.
yeah, sorry, okay, sorry.
I don't think we have Andrew anymore.
I don't think so.
I think he's gonna drop off because of the time change.
Yeah, he's not on anymore, so we don't need to.
So we don't need to roll
We don't
call.
need to roll call.
Alright, so all in favor?
Aye.
Alright, and Bob, do you wanna continue on with the amenities building?
Yes, just have that one up, just change my. So, I actually can't recall what I shared last time, so I just wanted to start with, we have a good bid, and we have a contractor selected, and we have a signed contract that's below what we had for a budget. So the purpose of tonight was I just wanted to lay out a couple things, just what our funding sources were. Primarily an update that we have a signed contract, we are getting close to starting construction in the next couple weeks. They'll be mobilizing. Some of the stuff they're doing at the beginning might, be more like site work, and then it will eventually get to putting up the walls and the structure. This project will go through from September through substantial completion in April next spring. We're working with them to make sure the area will be safe and the field will still be accessible to students. We have an OPM engaged to help us with that. We're working with the athletic department. So, we're in a good place to start. Funding wise, I just wanted to highlight what our funding sources were because we have reached out for grant funds. We've also, partly through both of the town CPCs, we've also reached out and received a state grant for this, specifically targeted to the amenities building, and we've allocated capital stabilization funds. So our total funding sources are $2,425,000. One thing I did want to highlight, and we've communicated this to the Concord CPC, their deadline for applying is prior to when we know what our FY 27 budget allocation was. So their award to us was based on their share of the FY 26 budget, which is $1,417,655. We won't be able to use 33,115 of that because we are required to follow the FY 27 budget allocation for this project. So we need to charge 74.84% to Concord and 25.16% to Carlisle. That's the breakout that we have for the 27 budget. So Concord does get a little bit of savings there. And if you look at the big picture on page 2, I also wanted to just highlight that, I've laid out what I see as the expenses. The base bid for the construction is $1,639,000. Winter conditions are kind of a common expense that you have when you have to do some work to keep the area warm during the winter. Some of that, a small amount, was built into the base bid, but we would expect there to be a little bit more, similar to the middle school project. So I put in an estimate of what that would be. And then there could be things that happen when a design contingency would be that maybe something was designed and didn't factor in something that was needed to function. And the construction company says, well, that's not really incorporated in the design documents. We need it to make it work, but it's gonna cost more. So that's what a design contingency would cover. The construction contingency could be they're digging and knock on wood, they discover something that makes the project a little bit more difficult to do that's completely unforeseen, not a common type of thing. So those contingencies I've put in as placeholders, as possible things that could happen. They're not guaranteed to happen, but I think to think that they're gonna be zero is not necessarily realistic. So I just wanted to highlight those, and if they're not incurred, there'll be savings to both.
In your experience, 5% is enough for construction contingency?
That was the recommendation from the design engineers based on their experience. It's that was the recommendation. I'm hoping it's zero, but
But even if you had to double that, I think you're still
Never.
within.
yeah, we have both a design and a construction contingency. This is a smaller, simpler project in the middle school, so I'm hoping we don't use much of the design contingency. But in terms of kind of framing, I just wanted to set expectations. People see the bid of $1,639,000. I didn't want people to know there could be other costs, and that we're not guaranteed to return that amount of money. We certainly will if we end up in that place. And then the other expenses are for the OPM, Gale and Associates, the sewer connection fee, which we've paid, the water connection fee, which we'll pay when they have a construction permit. And there is some testing and inspection that we want to do that's not built into the bid that we would pay for. And then the 15,000 contingencies related to, if there's more testing and inspection, or if there's any other fees that we run into that I haven't foreseen, but I would anticipate those being minor and hopefully negligible. But you can see that this is still 200,000 under the overall funding sources that we have. So, I think we're in a good place, and as we move ahead, if anything pops up that's unexpected, we can share an update. But I don't know that otherwise, if things are moving smoothly, we can just let you know that it's going smoothly. So I just wanted to share this in advance of the project to make sure that it was available to the school committee first, and then we can share it with whoever else needs to know, the towns.
Has any of the OPM or the Gale Associates, has any of that been paid so far?
So OPM, no. OPM just started when you appointed them. I haven't received a bill yet. I'll probably receive one at the end of August. And Gale and Associates, we've paid for previous phases of work which we're developing the design. Okay. And we're drawing a line, and then we'll be paying for construction administration.
So this is 50,000. None of that's been paid. This is going forward from this.
Yes, going forward. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to share with you tonight.
Apologies if you put it in here and I missed it, but say we have 200,000 left at the end, everything goes according to plan. What part, we said all along state grant gets used first before CPC. Does that 200,000 go back proportionately to CPC, or does some of that go to capital stabilization?
So I would just say I'm aware there's an expectation that if there's savings, it goes back to CPC. I do think I might need to use a little bit of the state grant for the OPM costs. Yeah. Because it was a little bit more than we expected, so maybe 25,000-30,000. But otherwise, we would use the capital stabilization for all of these connection fees. The testing and inspection is going to be fairly small, so I think if it comes out like this, that 200,000, a good most of it would be going back to CPC. And we will use the state grant first.
Yeah, great. This is great to see this broken down like this. Thank you. Any final questions? All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Moving on, we have our second reading of policies. There's 4 of them. Administration of medication to students, self-administration and self-carry of medication, timeout, seclusion, and restraint of students. And then the agenda doesn't actually say what KBG is. There
It's
will be parent
evaluation as
parent
well.
advisory
Yeah.
councils. I have it in the agenda overview. This is the second reading. We did the first reading in the spring. Does Anybody have any questions or comments on these?
I had a question on the timeout, seclusion, restraint of students. I mean, do we track whether that happens in town with the incidence of those things?
Yeah, oh, definitely. There's a lot behind that we can talk on. One is the law changed and I need you to vote the policy tonight to start school. The second part is we're getting a lot of ongoing feedback from the state.
Yeah.
In terms of what it looks and sounds like. And it's changed along the way this summer, to be honest, so we're still digging through. Timeout and seclusion, I would say if we use anything, it's seclusion because we don't wanna restrain a child,
Yeah.
because there's something unsafe going on. And the state is modifying its definitions of seclusion. They had started with any removal and separation, and now we're back to what we were used to, which was as long as an adult is present, it's not seclusion, even if that means they're like a little bit outside the door or whatever because of safety concerns. So we're evolving here on this right now.
Yes.
Staying very close to legal counsel. Paige Tobin, who's our legal counsel, has actually been consulting with the state on the guidance they're putting out. It's a tricky one, I think, and we are always gonna err on the side of not secluding students and certainly not restraining them. Rarely, but on occasion, something unsafe starts to happen and we have to choose between those and make our way through. So we can talk more on, Angel will come to one of your meetings and this can be a part of her discussion. It's mostly tied with any of our intensive programs that might serve very high risk children, and we stay very close to parents as this all may or may not pertain. And we have talked with CPAC
Yes.
Yeah.
twice last year about this, and we can certainly continue to do so. It's definitely been an evolving discussion.
What is the feedback we've gotten from those groups?
Yeah, CPAC was actually quite positive. Angel brought the presentation, talked through it, went through it. Since then, we've gotten some difference in guidance on what it is and isn't. So we probably will need to do an updated discussion with them early in the school year. I think the state's struggling to figure it out exactly because these are complex situations when they happen. And this was a law that would pertain to all settings, including even out of district settings and really, really unsafe
Yeah.
situations more frequently. And I think they're trying to find the right balance.
Very hard policy doing it.
Yeah, and thankfully we don't have situations all that often at all, so it's not an ongoing everyday occurrence for us in any way.
From a practical implementation standpoint, the parent that spoke in public comment mentioned like an opt-out. Is our families allowed to opt out of these things?
In terms of seclusion, yeah, there has to be a discussion, and this is what's evolving.
Yeah.
So we're gonna need to bring you more. I'll send you the FAQ they sent out in July, which had our jaws drop because things had changed since we had last heard it.
Okay.
But we don't, we would never not be working with a family when these are the kinds of issues we're
Got it.
working.
Second reading, we're meant to vote.
Yeah, this is voting right
We
now,
did
right?
not vote on the agenda.
Didn't
But
say
that's
vote.
okay.
Yeah, I was gonna
It's a
note
second
that.
reading.
Second reading,
I think it's implied, right, in the second reading that it's a vote?
So
No, I mean, I'm comfortable with it, I just want to
I
call that
think
out
if the
for
committee's
transparency.
comfortable with it,
I assumed that it was
second
vote.
yeah,
reading
second
vote.
reading implies vote.
But if I think we need to do it anyway, but I assume that's the way
Need
it
it for
goes,
school
right?
to start.
Yeah.
Need it for Monday.
So
We need it for school to start.
to school to start,
There's
yeah,
still,
Yep.
there's still a question mark on at least with the changes you're suggesting.
Yeah.
It's the implementation, not
The
the actual
implementation.
not the
policy,
policy, we
which
just need the
is,
policy.
yeah, so,
We need the policy and there's still work to be done to do it.
yeah, I think
Within
the whole
all the-
state's gonna talk about this for many months to come as it
Okay.
gets sorted out.
So
So-
would someone make a motion?
I move to approve policies JLCD, JLCDC, JKAA, and KBG.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any final discussion? Alright, all in favor?
I for
Aye.
both.
I
For
for
region.
both.
I for region.
I
It always
think-
sounds awkward, but that's-
Everybody.
we're doing it right.
I heard
I think I
everybody.
heard,
Yeah.
was anyone opposed? I don't think so. I think everyone said aye. Okay, we're good there. Now we have two policies that, one, we spent a lot of time on in the spring, and that's JICK. But we do need to vote a change, in order to, meet a Friday deadline with the Department of Justice.
Yeah.
Lori, do you wanna talk through this one?
Yeah, so in the submission of the information that was due to the Department of Justice, we had to provide the revised policy. In their review of that, they caught, and I'm grateful, they caught a discrepancy that has been there for a long time and was part of the NASC policy we had, and nobody had caught it before. So the law does require that we consider harassment in or outside of school, that's very commonly known. And this policy had it, one place it said only inside school and another place it said out. So they've rightfully asked us to make that clearer.
Mhm.
And so Paige Tobin drafted what you see here. And this is what they're expecting us to send back to them by the end of the week.
And to summarize, basically the jurisdiction, which is down below, she's moved up
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
crossed out the discrepancy.
And will it have tonight's date on it as approved?
Yes.
Cause on this one, it says November 8th, 2022, so the updated date will be on it.
Yes. Yes. And then I know we have more conversation
We're-
about some of the
Yes,
pieces.
we are putting a
We
pin in this
just wanna
one.
hold that a little bit
Yeah,
longer.
this is to meet Friday's deadline.
Yeah.
So, can I get a motion for this one?
So moved.
Second.
Oh, should I say the whole thing? I
Yeah,
move to
come on,
approve
Tracy, you're so good.
Policy JICK.
Is there a second?
Second.
Alright, is there any further discussion?
When are we going to have the discussion on the issues? This is the fourth time it's come up and
I
we've
know.
always said we're going to talk about.
And as I've said, like, once
Once the Department of Justice has
the dust settles and
cleared
we,
it, I think we're good to.
yes, cause we were talking about having it August or
Yeah,
September.
now.
Yes.
And we,
Now that they've
yeah,
changed.
but we don't expect it to be changed. I mean,
I don't, but I didn't expect this either. The
Fair.
first, Michael, the first thing I thought when this came in was like, oh no, we have to delay it again.
Michael, it's very much on my radar
Yes,
still, and I know
yes,
it's on
all of our
Cindy's radar.
radars.
We just gotta.
You guys got it. Okay,
Okay,
I trust you.
And we do have policy goals, so we'll
We got it.
Okay.
It'll happen.
get through this.
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 For both? For everything?
Okay, anyone opposed?
No.
Right, and then the Protect Act.
Yeah,
Talk us through
so
this one.
this is a first read in a true first read form. We just received this on Friday from Desi.
Yeah,
'Cause the law just passed
it is officially
a week
passed.
ago or
Yeah.
something, yeah, so the governor's passed the Protect Act, and within that act, it further gives us rights to hold ICE at the door pending review of the warrant that they bring. And only certain warrants are gonna allow for further action. This is procedurally what we've been doing, it's
Mhm.
been the guidance we have had for a year.
But now it's state law.
And now with the law, it's a little stronger. Sitting next to this is a procedural document that I think I gave to you all too. So that'll be the internal process, which again is the same. ICE arrives at the door, the schools hold them at the door, they call me, they can take a picture of the warrant so that I can get it to the attorney to vet it, and then we make our way through. So that's all good news, it's the same as what we've been doing
Do you
overall.
have the lettering on it for the policy?
I don't, we need to work with
So we need to work with
MASC
MASC on that.
on that. Yeah. So this is a first read, if you have questions, it's obviously the state's recommendation at this point.
Lori, I do have a question
Sure.
about the way we do this. So what's the plan for, say, the admin assistants and whoever the
Yeah,
frontline folks
yeah.
there? How do they know what's a judicial warrant versus?
They're not gonna be,
They don't,
none of us
yeah.
are gonna try to know. This has been the message even pre-policy. If ICE comes to the door, they're gonna get an administrator, a building administrator right away. The building administrator then will talk with ICE preferably through the intercoms, and say, I need to see your warrant. The goal is they hold the warrant up to the camera and we snapshot it that way and they're still outside. And then they get the picture to me, I get it to the attorney who reads the warrant for credibility and then directs us. So we're not trying to have anyone actually in the schools make decisions.
I hope we don't have to deal with the execution.
Me too, right?
Many schools will.
I mean, along those lines, I know you have the procedures in place, and if this is the first reading, we're gonna vote on it in
Yeah.
2 weeks. Is that sufficient?
I think
there
it
a
is
reason?
because it is the procedure we've been using. It's been the
Okay.
state guidance for a year. So we know that's what to do. This will give us a lot more weight behind it, especially if we get questioned. Now there's a law, here's the policy, I still have to.
And I would just maybe check with Alicia on any type of MGL that should go at the bottom of the policy.
I don't know
What's
if
that?
it,
I don't know if
I don't know
you
if I
can
talked to
remove it
Alicia, I think they're
about
not,
that. They're
this
not
is
ready for
happening
that?
faster.
No, it's happening faster, but in case they have any
To add
guidance on it.
NGL.
Well, it'll
Mass
be the
General law.
Protect Act.
But this will be Mass General law.
Mass
So, like,
General law.
It is Mass
It
General.
is Mass General law,
So the Protect Act is the,
law, so we don't have to have any other
I don't
references in
think
here.
so,
We'll
you can
get
ask
that.
her,
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'll check.
you can ask.
Alright, we're not voting on this. Any
Yeah.
final questions though? Alright, in that case, does someone wanna make a motion to adjourn CCSC?
So moved.
Any discussion? Otherwise, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And I'm happy to turn it over to you for the next part.
Alright, the Concord School Committee will enter into executive session.
You can
Actually,
have
you
someone
can't
make a
move it.
motion.
I move that the Concord School Committee,
Why
hold
can't
on.
he do
I
it?
put my yes, Sandeep is the chair, so he
The
can't move
chair
it.
can't move
The
it?
chair can't move it. So I move that the Concord School Committee will enter into executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation with the Concord Teachers Association and a former teacher if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares, and to comply with or act under the authority of any general or specific law or federal grant any requirements with regard to the review and approval of executive session minutes from April 15th, 2026, May 14th, 2026, May 20th, 2026, and July 10th, 2026, and not to return to open session.
All those in favor?
You need to roll call.
Roll call.
Maliazzi, aye.
Morano, aye.
Bishari, aye.
Williams, aye.